Let's see. At this point, I'm going to look at the chat and see who we have today. You guys you're gonna hear it soon. Let's see. Who do we have in the chat so far? We have regular moderator Dizzy Miss Lizzie. Hello. We have Scalopulton 301. I've seen him many times. Rage Master, Snoopy the Gamer 246. I've seen you around the Discord server, which by the way you should join if you have not yet. Lizzie, if you could supply a link, if you please, to the Discord chat. I'm usually in there a lot. We're doing Saturday voice channel things on there. So yeah, you should join there. And plus, a lot of people on Discord, especially if you're a patron, we do post a lot of exclusive stuff in the Patreon section of the Discord, and a lot of people will be notified. To me, it's a more effective way to notify people of new content. I could just, because we have a bot that automatically posts videos when they're uploaded, so that people go right in and, oh, Chi-Chi's here. Hello, Chi-Chi. How are you? Let me just quickly give you mod privileges. There we go. Let me take a drink here. I actually have not drank no water, but it's juice, so should be a bit better because I believe it's natural. No like crazy sugars or anything. And I'm trying to cut down a bit on the pop or cola, keeping it to like 2 a day, if that, and moving on to some of the juices because I've been having a bit of a caffeine problem. So there's that. But anyway, back to people who are in the chat. Movie Fan 99, hello. I also see you around a lot. You're a regular. In fact, I just realized I have not tweeted out that we're live, so I'm actually going to do that quickly while I'm still reading off names. Excuse me. Iris P95, hello. Blaze Shimmer. I believe there are some more. I have to scroll up. Tristan MM Studios. Mono Kuma. Y2. And let's see. I believe that might be. Oh no. Ronald Conran. Let me know if I pronounced that correctly. I'm trying my best. And Funtime Gav the Cartoon Floof. I know I've seen him around. He's also in the server. So yes, welcome. I think there's 14 of you if Streamlabs is to be taken literally. So welcome. It's very early, and we had a bit of a technical issue start, so we'll slightly extend this so that I can cut and have it still be at a decent length, because to abridge what I said originally is that I'm going to try to do these a little more often because I really liked the last Q&A panel, which was a virtual panel for LuniCon, but I enjoyed doing it so much that I thought, hey, I might want to do them again, maybe a little longer. And I won't do these like every week or anything like that. These will just be probably once a month if I was to consider a schedule, and I'll definitely do them on Fridays. So just look out for when you get a notification in your sub box for a live show to be happening. Hit the reminder, and you'll know, and you won't miss out. And we're going to try to do them when we do them Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because that is the evening, and it's called An Evening with Aficionados Chris, so it makes the most sense. But with that out of the way, let's get to the Q&A part of the Q&A live show. So if you guys have some questions that you would like me to answer, please type them in the chat, and be sure to @ me, like right at Aficionados Chris, so that I can see it. It's bolded usually, like it color codes that, so I know that that's a question and not a comment. I will read comments if they're interesting, but I'm here to answer questions. So if you have a question, be sure to tag me, ask it, and I'll answer it as best as I can. And while you guys are preparing your questions, I'm going to tweet out that we are live. So bear with me for just a minute. Luckily, I have Twitter open in another tab. So we're live now. Come ask your questions for the next 2.5 half hours. And let's get rid of the HTTPS. Yes. And I've been told that using images gets more attention than using the embedded video for some reason. And tweeted. All right, that should do it. So, with that out of the way, we have our first question that I can see. Scullapulton says, "What do you think of the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer?" Never saw it. Never really interested me. Did Wes Craven do that one? I don't remember who directed I Know What You Did Last Summer. But yeah, no, I've actually never seen that, unfortunately. How do you make your videos? And any advice for me for YouTube, says Naji Tech Pro. How do I make my videos? Not sure how. I guess it's kind of generic for a creator to be like, well, how do you answer that? Really, we'll stick specifically with the reviews, like the Blu-ray reviews, as one example. And with those, typically it's just whatever release came out that interested me, appealed to my personal interests. So like, the Sonic stuff, because I love Sonic. The new movie was coming out, so a lot of stuff was also coming out that year or had already come out. So Sonic was on my mind, so I had a lot to say about it. And typically what I do is that I write. I take some time to basically open a Google Doc. I write out all my points that I want to make in the video, and then polish it up a bit more by like, filling it in with introductions and voiceovers and animated bits and stuff like that. As far as programs, I use the Creative Cloud, so I use Adobe Premiere for traditional editing, and I use After Effects for some of the more crazier stuff that you can't do natively in Premiere. And every once in a while I use Adobe Animate for stuff if I feel like the effect that I want to do is more comfortable to do in Animate, because I've used Adobe Animate the longest, because I've used it since it was called Macromedia Flash, so I'm more familiar with its tech and interface. So I can just it's like an old pair of shoes. I can just slip it right back on comfortably. The only advice I can give is just make the kind of content that you as a viewer would like to see. So if you enjoy content reviews or Let's Plays, then do that. Make that kind of content. Don't worry about being good at first, because I know a lot of people tend to feel like they should, when they're starting YouTube, that they should be on the same professional quality as like the other YouTubers they watch, or as they perceive it as professional, like, oh, really good camera and mic and editing. Just make content and learn from it, and also listen to criticism. Not hate, obviously, not hate comments like you suck, but when people leave comments like, for the next video you should try this, heed some of that advice, because it will help you a lot along the way. I've had some great criticisms in the comments that I've heeded to. One I remember is one person once saying that they thought the watermark with my URL, like the one down here, was too big, and that it should probably be smaller. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, that's good advice. So the watermark became smaller, and on top of that, I was like, well, maybe I should make it a little more translucent, just so it's not so it's there, but it's not as obnoxious, because I made that during a time where a lot of my videos were getting re-uploaded to other YouTube channels and even Dailymotion. So I was putting that watermark so it would be easier for me to get them taken down, and also so that people would see them, could read the URL, and therefore visit my website. If they happen to find one of those re-uploads and wanted to see more content, they could go to that website and find some of it. So I hope that answered your question. We got a few here. Fish House Chris Rage Master says, "What is your next Blu-ray and DVD review?" It all depends what happens first. There's a few in August, because there's a lot of big releases in August that I really want to talk about. For example, Final Space, the complete first and second seasons, is going to Blu-ray in August. I love Final Space. It's one of my favorite modern shows. So I have a lot to say about that. And I've already pre-ordered the Blu-ray, so I would really love to review that one. So that was definitely on the table. Also, the Arrow Gamera box set comes out in August, and I've talked about Gamera before on the channel. And I think longtime viewers know I love tokusatsu and kaiju films, so it's right up my alley. I grew up with the Gamera films, so I'd like to do that one. I'm hoping to do with the Gamera set, I'm hoping to do a collaboration review, because I would love to do it with Brandon Tenold of YouTube. If you guys know Brandon Tenold's cult movie reviews, if you haven't, I recommend looking him up. He's one of my absolute favorite YouTubers of, like, really right now as it stands. I think there's only like 4 YouTubers that I watch regularly, like that I make sure I watch everything they ever post. Or no, actually 5. I'm sorry, 5. And those would be Brandon Tenold, Phalis, Stop Skeletons from Fighting, The Completionist, and Dave Lee Down Under. Those are the 5 that I always make sure to watch anything they post. I think the only Completionist video I didn't watch was his Metroid Prime, because MatPat was in it, and I typically try to avoid content with MatPat involved, so I skipped that one. But other than that, I usually watch everything that the Completionist does. I love him. Great content creator and a wonderful, wonderful guy. But yeah, outside of that, as far as like what's in the works right now, I am in the middle of a big undertaking. I can actually show you guys because I have some of them over here. So some of you might have caught wind of some polls that I put out asking if people were a fan of this franchise. The overwhelming response was that most of you have never even seen it. So that means I have to go at this video with a slightly different angle, because it will also be hopefully an education tool to be like, well, here's this franchise, and that would be Lupin the Third. So here are some of the Lupin the Third DVDs that I have acquired. I have about 11 more on the way. This is a franchise. Briefly, I don't want to say everything because I want to save it for the video, but Lupin the Third is an anime manga, like it's a Japanese franchise that has been running to this day, running for over 50 years. It celebrated its 50th anniversary last year, or its 50th was, well, it's been running as a anime franchise since 69, but it was a manga in 67, so it's been a little over 50 years. But the point is, it's basically, actually, now that I think about it, it's almost like the Scooby-Doo of Japan. It's been running for over 50 years and has like new content coming out almost on the daily every year. So there's always new stuff. This is just a few of them. There's a lot I need to pick up. Not a lot. I only need, since I already ordered a few this week, I only need to grab like another 16 or so titles. So I can probably have everything I need to do the video in like August, September, somewhere around there. Like I'm definitely aiming for a fall release for that one. And the video is going to be called Lupin the Third, The Collector's Compendium, which is basically going to be a video talking about all the available releases of the show, the films, the specials, because like you saw there's a lot of Lupin the Third related media out there. And for a lot of people, when they look at that stuff, it's a little overwhelming, like, oh God, I've heard about the show, but where do I even start? Like, it seems like there's so much stuff, which, yeah, it can be a little overbearing, but that's my aim with the videos, to sort of go through the history, talk about the different releases, the ones you can get a hold of, the ones that may be a little harder to get a hold of, or the ones that I don't recommend you buy at all, because there are some of those, or at least they come with little asterisks of information. And so it might be a pretty lengthy video, maybe about 20 minutes, possibly, maybe even longer, I don't know. But that's going to be one of my big projects, and I'm looking forward to it because I love Lupin the Third, and I know, again, from the polls, a lot of you have never even seen it, so it brings me joy to help introduce this franchise to a whole new set of eyeballs, and I think it's going to be fun. So that's the answer to that question. I believe there's a few more, so I have to look back, hope I didn't miss any. Blaze Shimmer says, what is your personal favorite Blu-ray in your collection, and what can we expect for the rest of the summer. Well, I mean, kind of like with the last part, kind of like what I said. That's about as much as I can give you, because again, it all depends on what comes out and if it's something that appeals to me. Like, I don't, for the most part, like doing reviews upon request, where it's like, you should review this. Like, well, I'm not familiar with, like, I know I got a comment once like, oh, you should review Monster Rancher. It's like, I didn't really grow up with Monster Rancher, so I don't know what a review from me would benefit you, because there's a very high chance that maybe I won't like it, and therefore, like, I get the sentiment of you want to recommend me to check out more content. I'm always willing to check out, movies and shows and what have you, but requesting a review is a very different thing than requesting that I check out something for, my own personal viewing. But like, that's the thing. It really just all depends on what comes out. And so far, what I named is most of what is really big. The only other things that are coming out, I have the Laurel and Hardy Blu-ray collection coming in the mail right now. I don't know if I'm going to review that, because I don't really know if many people who watch my channel would even care. But I bought that because I love Laurel and Hardy, and I want to support more classic films and television on Blu-ray, so I bought it. And I know the Criterion Bruce Lee box set's coming out. Again, I don't know how many people would want to watch that, but I adore Bruce Lee, and I cannot wait for that box set, because it includes everything that's, ever been released with Bruce Lee's. Well, obviously it doesn't have Green Hornet or anything, but it has all the films, including Enter the Dragon, which is a big deal, because for the longest time, Enter the Dragon has not been in any of the Bruce Lee sets that I have had in my life. It's always been sold separate. So this is the first time it's ever been included in a Bruce Lee collection. And I think the first part of your question, which I completely missed, personal favorite of the Blu-ray collection. That's a good question. Probably my Funimation exclusive Cowboy Bebop Blu-ray, which comes in a package made to look like a vinyl record. Because one, it's extremely rare and worth a lot of money, way more than I spent originally. And also because it's signed. Like, I went to a convention a while back and had it signed by Steve Bloom, the voice of Spike Spiegel, and Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, who was the voice of Julia, and the voice director, like the main head of the English language dubbing for that show. So she was basically sort of like the foster parent to Cowboy Bebop. Without her, the show would have never even made it to American televisions. So it was very important that I get it signed by her too. I'll talk more about that, because I am doing a series of videos to answer the summer thing. I am going to be doing a series of videos called the Multiplex Showroom, which is the name I've basically given the I guess you'd call it a man cave, but the room where I keep all my cool stuff. So the movies, the collectibles, all that stuff is in a separate room, and I call it the Multiplex Showroom. So I'm going to be doing a series of videos unscripted, which is basically going to be me spotlighting sections of the room. So I have a couple in the pipeline. Like, I'm going to do one about my Cowboy Bebop collection, because I have a lot of Cowboy Bebop memorabilia. I have a lot of stories to go with them. And I'll do one on my anime collection, because I don't have the biggest collection of anime, but I do have enough to make a video about them and talk about some of the titles individually. Not all of them individually, but enough if I pull out a title where I have a lot to say, and I'll say a lot about it. Excuse me. And, stuff like my Disney collection, and maybe even my vinyl collection. Like, because I do collect other things than, besides Blu-rays and DVDs. I collect a lot of collectibles. I collect things like props or figurines, even glasses, depending on if it's a franchise that I'm a big fan of. I have a lot of Cowboy Bebop glasses. And I collect vinyl. I collect VHS. I collect media, things that appeal to me. And hopefully a lot of people enjoy that kind of content, because it'll be a lot easier to produce, because it doesn't require a whole lot of planning. And it's more digestible kind of content, so I can get it out there a lot more frequently than some of the reviews, because the reviews require a lot of research and a lot of planning, because I have to try and get as much right that I can, because I feel it's my job to uh, educate the viewer on those kind of things. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. Let's see what else. Skyla Polton also says, "What can you tell us about Sonic Underground? Because I like that show so much." Well, Sonic Underground is easily one of the weakest Sonic adaptations. I still enjoy it. The theme song slaps really hard, and Sonic Underground. I think it was Patton Oswalt who talked about Blade Trinity when talking about this. Like, as it is a horrible, one of the absolute worst things ever made. But knowing the behind the scenes stuff, it's an amazing show that it even happened. Because if you look into some of the background of Sonic Underground, it's a mess of what happened there. It was a clashing of ideas, cross promotions that went wrong. It's a mess, and it's fascinating to read up on. And there's things I do love about it. I love Jaleel White always. As you guys, some of you who probably saw the Sonic movie review, I love Jaleel White, but right now he is my number 2 Sonic. Number 1 is right now Ben Schwartz. I think he's phenomenal as Sonic, but for the longest time, Jaleel White was my favorite. Give it a drink here. There we go. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Sonic Underground. A entertaining mess of a cartoon. And let's see. You should watch Happy Tree Friends. Oh, I grew up watching Happy Tree Friends. I know all about that. I hope those DVDs are still in print. It would be nice to get those at some point. Y2 says, "How did you get into Hamtaro? Do you think the series should get the re-licensing treatment?" I got into Hamtaro because I was a kid. I think I just caught it one day on Cartoon Network, and I thought it was fun, and I watched more episodes. I was tormented in school growing up because I was watching the girly hamster show. But whatever. I loved Hamtaro, and he's stuck with me ever since. I meant to do more videos about Hamtaro, but after the last 2 that I did, the Halloween special and the Christmas special, both videos are currently flagged by Shogakukan, I believe the name is. Basically, ShowPro, the license holder for Hamtaro. And I have tried like 8 different times to get those claims taken off. I have emailed multiple times. They've never gotten back to me. And it really just put a damper on me wanting to do more Hamtaro-related content, because I was just like, well, what's the point? It's just going to get flagged for copyright, even though it's not. Like, they're clearly under the impression that they're uploads, like full uploads of episodes, even though I've done the math. Only about 50 to, not even 50, like 40% of the video is of Hamtaro content. Most of it is me talking about it. So, yeah, it became a mess, and it just kind of soured my perspective into wanting to do more content. So I'm sorry if there were a lot of you who's like, why don't you do more Hamtaro stuff? I loved your Hamtaro videos. I loved them too, but after that I was just kind of like, I gotta focus on other things because they don't get flagged. So I put those to the wayside. I might come back to them eventually if I can find ways around the copyright, maybe. I did want to do a video on the video games because I own all of them, and maybe that one would be a little harder for them to claim because I don't think they own the video game license. I think that's all Nintendo. But we'll see. Let's see. What was the very first movie you've watched in your entire life? I don't. I think it was The Lion King. Might have been. I mean, my parents would know the answer to that more than I do, because you only know so much from when you were, so young. I do remember seeing Lion King in theaters, and that was 90. It's 93, 94. I don't remember, but I definitely know I saw that in theaters, and I saw Toy Story in theaters, but that was 95. So it definitely would have been before that. See, I guess I'd say Lion King might have been the first. And I love Lion King, so. Let's see. Wait, Lupin the Third? Why does that sound familiar? Oh, it's getting a CGI film. Yeah, I've actually seen Lupin the First. It's fantastic. It is probably right now. It's inching up there as probably my favorite Lupin thing. And for a while, that was like Castle Cagliostro, because I really like Castle Cagliostro. I think most people do. In fact, I think most people have seen Castle Cagliostro and not seen anything else related to Lupin. So that is something I am also probably going to bring up in the video of, like, you've probably seen Castle Cagliostro if you're a fan of anime as a medium or a fan of Studio Ghibli, because most of you probably only know it as, oh, it's that film that Hayao Miyazaki did before he was, Studio Ghibli. Well, yeah, but it was also an adaptation of a very, very well received, long running franchise at that point. Because I think Castle Cagliostro was the third Lupin film, second animated, but third film overall at that point. So, there's more to it than that. And funny enough, I will mention this in the video, Castle Cagliostro does not share the same mainstream appeal that it does in the States over in Japan. In Japan, it's actually not as well respected, or at least well beloved, I should say. Obviously, it's respected, but over in Japan, it's not nearly as loved or cherished. Mystery of Mamo, which is the film before it, is actually far more beloved in Japan, and over here, it's relatively obscure. But I don't want to get too much into Lupin because I want to save some of that for the video. Chris, have you watched Hamilton? I'm going to tonight. In fact, after the stream, I'm going to be watching Hamilton with a group of friends because I've been wanting to. I've actually deliberately not been listening to the Hamilton soundtrack ever because I knew that they had a recording and that they were going to release it at some point. And, well, now we finally get to see it. I've been looking forward to it. I've heard great things about Hamilton, and I love musicals, so I can't wait to check out this one. And hello, Tia. Welcome to the show. There we go. Now you're a mod. For those who are paying attention into the chat, Glitchy Bits is Tia. She is one of my primary thumbnail artists. I say primary because I've had many people do art for my thumbnails, but she has definitely done the most. She did the Invader Zim one. She did 2 of the Sonic ones, Sonic X and Sonic Boom. Jesus, what else did she do? She didn't do Courage. Courage was Purple Roslyn. She did the Celebrating Mickey one with me and Dave Lee. She did that one. And she also drew the Disney-fied avatar of mine that's used for the Disney Plus video. And yeah, she's done a lot of thumbnails. You guys should support her. Put your Twitter handle in the chat, Tia, because I know you just recently changed over to a new Twitter handle, so plug yourself. Yes, let's see. In the questions, yeah, I think I missed a lot because I talk too much. I'm sorry, but we have 2.5 hours to fill, so I should be talking a lot. Thoughts on Clone High getting rebooted? Hi, Chrissy. I think like most of us, I'm excited. I'm excited for Clone High coming back. I actually bought what I believe was the last retail copy of the DVD because the DVD's long out of print and everyone's like trying to bum it off for like $50 or $70 on eBay now because it's out of print. But I bought it last year through Bull Moose. I'm apparently getting messages on my phone. Let me actually look at that very quickly. Doing a show! Alright. It's just Twitter notifications, probably because I tweeted out the show. Put that on vibration. But yeah, I'm very excited for the announcement. That was not expecting that at all, and I'm glad that we're finally going to get some more Clone High. That's going to be great. Don't forget the fact that there are different interpretations of Loop. Yeah, Lizzie talking like an expert now, because I've been. That's actually been the great thing, and why I wanted to do the Lupin video. Is it was actually because of Lupin the First, because I've been a fan since like 2015, but I've very seldomly talked about it because again I didn't know many people that had even heard of it, or to put it into a very relatable problem. Do you know how hard it is to get a group of people to watch a good anime? Like that that's the kind of problem we have sometimes is some people just don't care for the medium. And you know, finding people who are interested in Lupin the Third is very hard because it's not very well known, and if it is, it's only for like a couple things. Again, like Castle of Cagliostro, but only in because of the first, it started getting like this weird resurgence. Like I was seeing a lot of stuff on social media, people tweeting about how good the film looked, and it did. It looked great, but it was like, wow, where were all these Lupin fans hiding all my life? And you know, so my friend circles who also had never seen Lupin stuff, you know, were talking about how much they loved the look of the film and that you know it looked interesting and they wanted to see it. And it was because of that that made me, you know, seek out some of the Lupin stuff and get reacquainted with the franchise because I hadn't really been thinking about it for a while, and started showing it to some of my friends, and they fell in love with the franchise and the characters, and it's just made me go, you know what? I want to talk about Lupin now because I love it. I've never spoken about it, and I know a lot of people confirmed through my polls have never even seen it, so I get to hopefully broaden that audience, introducing it to new viewers, and it gives me an excuse to finish up collecting something that I have been meaning to be collecting for a while, but I kept putting it off for other reasons. And now some of these titles are going out of print, so I've been buying them up every month in like you know, by the pound so that I could just get it over with. Like, okay, I got to get all these now, or they're gonna be friggin' gone, and I'll have to pay exuberant prices to get them now. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Let's see what else we got. Which two games are you gonna get October 2nd? Crash 4 or Star Wars Squadrons? Of those two, I'd probably go for Crash 4. I just have not been overly impressed with the Star Wars games of late. Not saying they're bad, but they have not really grabbed me as far as like interest. What was the last one? I know there was like one very very recently. I don't remember the name. What, like Fallen Order or something? I don't remember. I know it had like a lead character, and it had like a couple people were streaming it for a while. That one looked kind of interesting, but I couldn't really justify $60 for a game that might have just been okay, or what have you. But you know, let me go back. VHS, damn, I remember those pain when they screwed up. Well, yeah. I love collecting physical media of all kinds. I'm very excited to get Inuyasha on Blu-ray. I did not grow up watching Inuyasha, but I think it's great that fans finally get to have the series on high definition. This video has been doing a pretty good job reissuing their back catalog on Blu-ray. I am a little disappointed that they don't seem to be... They put out the one Pokemon set. Maybe it didn't sell very well because I have not seen a single update on whether or not they were going to do more Blu-ray releases for the original Pokemon series. I wish they would. I like the first set, so that'd be great. Any Shout Factory releases coming in the mail? Shout Factory. I don't think there are any. The last Shout Factory thing I bought was the reissue of Glengarry Glen Ross, because that's one of my favorite films, and if you're gonna release a collector's edition and it's gonna be Shout Factory, I've got to get it. I don't know. Has there been anything like really really noteworthy from Shout Factory as of late that I should have grabbed? Let me know, because I'll look into it. But no, the last one I can recall was Glengarry Glen Ross. So nothing in the mail right now, but you never know. The only two things that I have on pre-order are, like I said, the Bruce Lee Criterion set and the Pat Labor Blu-ray collection that's coming out. I wanted to grab that because I've been meaning to check out Pat Labor, but the Blu-rays were like long out of print and were going for hundreds of dollars a piece. And Pat Labor has a lot of releases. Like I think there were like 8 volumes, and that was gonna run up my fucking bills. Like, I've been wanting to check it out, but I'm not willing to pay that much money for a show that I'm only like casually interested in because of its cultural significance and influence on anime, and really just like films as well, because I think Pacific Rim was inspired by Pat Labor. But then they announced a complete box set. Sentai Filmworks, I think, is doing it, and they announced it was like, oh, $70 for everything. I'm like, $70? I gotta grab that because that's a really good deal given how much stuff is in that set. So that's the only other thing. Maybe I'll do a video on Pat Labor, but that would take a long time because that's a lot of stuff to get through. And again, I'm just not too sure if the audience is there. That is the big, the delicate balance with my content is the audience there for the subject I want to talk about? Because of course I want to talk about it, but if no one's watching, then it's kind of a wasted effort because, I'm doing all this out of my pocket when I'm buying these things and reviewing them. And of course I'm not regretting it because I want to own these things and I am a fan of the things I purchase. But you got to have some kind of return investment. If you're going to put it out there, you kind of have to hope that enough people watch it to justify you putting in the extra effort for the for the product, and in some cases for the opening sketches, because sometimes I buy props to do the openings. So there is all that kind of stuff to consider. So when you can, be sure to watch my content and like them, leave a comment, because that kind of engagement really, really helps the channel. And I know it's very cliche for a content creator to be like, be sure to leave a like and a comment. But you really, in this day and age, you really do need to do that, because otherwise your favorite channels can't grow and therefore can't be discovered and continue making the content that you all enjoy. Because, I'm doing this really more or less as a hobby. I have an actual job because I work for another YouTube channel, DA Games, and that's my primary income, which is why content is not, boom, boom, boom. It's only when I can muster up to make some, because I have to focus on actually having money to, keep the lights on and my stomach full. So, consider that when you watch the content. Like, comment, share it, do all that good stuff, because it's very little to ask, and it really, really helps the channel. So, soapbox stepping down, back to questions. Have you watched Unikitty? I saw a couple episodes. It was cute. It's not really my thing because I'm obviously not the target audience for it. Is it still on? I don't know if that's still on. I know, like, recently the Lego license got sold to Universal and Warner Brothers doesn't own it anymore, so I don't know if they would still be making Unikitty because, Warner Brothers owns Cartoon Network. So, any thoughts on the sneak peek for the Cuphead show? I think it looks great. I was able to catch the pilot animatic when it was making the rounds before it started getting taken down. I think it looks fantastic. Excuse me, my nose is itchy for some reason. But yeah, from the finished animations that I have seen, it looks unbelievable, and they've really captured that Fleischer Brothers look. And I love the voice cast. I think True Valentino is great as Cuphead. I'm genuinely like really, really pumped for that. I cannot wait to see it when it comes out next year. So there's your answer on that. The weakest Lupin thing we've seen so far is Island of Assassins. Yeah, I would agree. It's not one of the strongest, but for all we know, there might be weaker ones. We don't know. Rage Master says, are you looking forward to the PS5? If yes, what games are you looking forward to? Of what games you see that catch your interest? Well, even though I didn't grow up with it, that Ratchet and Clank game looked really, really good. I've been meaning to get, I think they have like remasters or something. I know there's been reissues of the games. And, well, Spyro was one of my favorite franchises for the PlayStation when I was a kid. And I know it's the same developers, Insomniac Games, who did Ratchet and Clank, because Insomniac did the original Spyro trilogy, even though it's technically a Universal interactive franchise, but Insomniac was the developer for those games for Universal. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I might get the PS5. Probably not at launch. It is. I think it's a bit of a hefty price tag. Because I think they want like $500 for it, which is, for what it is. Because I know tech wise, it's like unbelievably fucking like fast and like it's a bitchin' console. So the price is justified, and I'm obviously going to go for the one with the disc drive. I am buying a digital only version. Screw that. So I will get one, but again, probably not at launch. Maybe like after, when they do it at some kind of sale and I have some spare cash, because it's still a lot of money for me to dump on it. Because the last console I bought was the Nintendo Switch, and even still, the Switch was only like $250 or something. Like it was in the 200s. That was a bit of a more, like, I could afford that, at least at the time I could. But yeah, there's your answer. I heard Super Robot Monkey Team is going to Disney Plus this month. Oh, is it? Oh my god, that's great. I really hope you're not pulling my leg here, because yeah, okay, yeah, no, that, I think that's great. It definitely does. I mean, I mentioned in the Disney Plus video that it should go on Disney Plus. Kind of weird that that's going on there before Bear in the Big Blue House or even the Aladdin series. I don't know what's going on with those. But you know what? I'll take it. I'm glad Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go is getting another release. I've been meaning to rewatch the show. It's because I haven't seen it in years. But yeah, no, that's some great news. Amazing. Scullapulted says, I know you don't care about Sonic Underground, but what about Sonic's brothers and sisters, Manic and Sonia? I love them. Well, like I said, I love Jaleel White, and I thought Sonic Underground, one of its strengths was Jaleel White showing his range as an actor, because he plays all three of them. He plays Sonic, Sonia, and Manic, and I think he's great in those roles. And also, I mean, he doesn't sing the songs because that was all done in Canada. But the songs in the show are really good. They were so good that the original Shout Factory releases had CDs included with their DVDs because they knew how many people enjoyed the songs for that show. Like I said, I like the show warts and all, but please acknowledge the warts because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them in that show. All right, we are coming up on our first hour. Technically shy because we had some technical difficulties earlier, but we'll keep going. So please, if you have questions or even topics, like anything you want to talk about with me, please list them in the chat and I will read them. Chrissy says, thoughts on Central Park, favorite character and song. In case you don't know, Chrissy and I have been watching Central Park. It's the show by the people who made Bob's Burgers. The big gimmick about it is that it is a musical show, so every episode has about 4 musical numbers. Favorite character. I don't know if I have a favorite character just yet. If you put a gun to my head, probably Josh Gad's character, the narrator, but that's really just because I love Josh Gad. And as far as the songs, it's a tie, right? I really like Spoiler Alert because Alan Menken wrote that one, and again, Josh Gad performed it. But the one that just stays in my head is Do It While We Can, which I think was the one that was going around social media. That one's really, really good and has stuck with me the longest. So there's your answer. Central Park's very good. I don't know if I'd quite recommend getting an Apple Plus account just to watch it, because really there isn't a whole lot on Apple Plus worth watching. So I am not condoning piracy. I am just saying maybe wait till Apple Plus is either a more reasonable price or that there's more content worth watching on it before you watch Central Park. Because I do think its biggest downfall is that it's on Apple Plus, because it's on a streaming service that really nobody has. And when there's like one guy's like, well, I have it. When you rank it with things like Netflix and Hulu and even Disney Plus and HBO Max, which are arguably more niche, nobody has Apple Plus or Apple TV Plus or whatever the hell it's called. I think my second question wasn't answered for Hamtaro. Do you think the series should get the relicensed treatment? Uh, Honestly, yes, but I don't know to what extent. Like, I I can't. I've tried to figure this out. I think the license expired years ago. I don't know if Viz still has the license. Maybe I could email them and ask if they still have the license to Hamtaro. In a perfect world, like here's what I would love. In a perfect world, I would love for Discotech to get the license from ShowPro. Specifically because I want them to go about it the way they went with Lupin Part 2. Because Lupin Part 2 was the longest running series of Lupin. It ran for 155 episodes. Anyone that knows anything about Hamtaro, Hamtaro ran for like well over 100 episodes. I think like I'm trying to remember because I said it in like the Halloween episode. It might have been over 150. Might have even been 160. I don't remember. Or even 200. I really don't remember. But Hamtaro ran a very long time. And also that means that, much like Lupin Part 2, they stopped dubbing it at a point. So what I would love Discotech to do, this is all hypothetical. Don't like take this and try to pass it off as news or anything. This is hypothetical what I would love. I would love for Discotech to get the license to Hamtaro so that they could release DVD box sets of like episodes 1 to 50 or something in one collection. Excuse me. And they can include the dubs if they can license them, because that obviously requires additional licensing because you have to get the license. You have to get the license for the show, and then you have to license the dub because that was produced by a different company because that was an Ocean dub, and I think Ocean is still operating as a dubbing company, so they would have to pay for 2 licenses, which would also mean that the price of the DVDs would be up. So in order to get more releases, you would have to buy these as soon as they come out to have those sales numbers be consistent. So I would love for them to buy the license and then release every episode of the show with English subtitles. Because I believe that I would love to see a legal way, because most of my life I had to watch them through fan subs of the original Hamtaro episodes that never made it to the States. So it would be very nice if, like, of all the companies that could and should do it, Discotech. Because Discotech's one of my absolute favorite companies when it comes to anime distribution. Because, I mean, other companies are fine. Sentai Filmworks, I like. Like, if I put them in a ranking, Discotech's definitely number 1. Sentai Filmworks would be right under them. Funimation, like 3 or 4. I don't know. I'd put them pretty... They're a low bar for me, honestly. But Discotech is great because if you follow the people who work at Discotech, you can tell that they are just very genuine people. Like they're like the Shout Factory of anime. They are just big fans. They love the content they're producing. They put a lot of work and love, and they try to put out the best possible version that they can. And I think they hit it out of the park more than once. I can't off the top of my head think of a bad release that they've done. Yeah, I think Discotech's great, and I think if it was to get relicensed, which I am 100% behind, Discotech is the company that I would love to have Hamtaro relicensed to. So I hope that answers your question. Just like that other guy, I also have Sonic Side AM, the complete series on DVD. You lucky son of a bitch. Still need to find a copy of that for a price that I can justify. But yes. If you had to do a celebrity dubbing of Lupin, who'd play who? That is a good question. It also, I guess it would also depend on like what constitutes a celebrity. So I'll cheat and say, well, here's who I would cast if I was not able to use the Epcar Entertainment dub actors, which are Tony Oliver, Richard Epcar, Michelle Ruff, Lex Lang, and Dan Lord's retired. I forget who plays Zenigata now, but if I can't use the typical dubbing cast or hell, even the Funimation cast, here's who I would pick. I would pick Ben Schwartz for Lupin. If you guys know just the faintest thing about him as a character, Ben Schwartz fits him perfectly. He's arrogant, he's cocky, a smart ass. Like, he fits that bill very, very much, and also has a hint of nasal in his throat. So there's that. I've always really wanted to see Clancy Brown play Jigen. And that's, again, it's like, do you consider him a celebrity? I mean, he's done a lot of really prolific film work, so maybe. But I know most of you know him as, oh, he's the voice of Mr. Krabs. Like, yeah, but he's also Shawshank Redemption, Buckaroo Banzai, and he's done a lot of other voiceover roles that aren't, like, he was Lex Luthor in the Superman animated series. So, oh, and the Kurgan in Highlander. So he has a lot of really prolific roles. So maybe he's a celebrity, I guess. So there's that. God, I'd have to think of the others. Bryan Cranston for Zenigata would be one. And now to think of Goemon and Fujiko. Fujiko. Fujiko's gotta be played by someone who can play alluring, sexy very, very well. And for some reason, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I'm sure they exist. I mean, sex symbols aren't really... They're not really a thing anymore, are they? Like, not like the way it was applied back in, like, the 20s and 30s of a sex symbol. Yeah, I don't know. Goemon, I'd want to make it authentic, so I'd want to make it a Japanese actor, so maybe I'm blanking on his friggin' name right now. I love him. Ken Watanabe. Perhaps Ken Watanabe for Goemon. And God, trying to think of like alluring, sexy voices in like film these days. I don't know. This will really show my age. Maybe Angelina Jolie, because I don't know. I was thinking Tomb Raider. She's really sexy in that. Maybe, but I don't know. Maybe her voice is a bit too seasoned to do that now. I don't know. That's off the top of my head, and such short notice. It's not a great casting. I could probably pick through it and get some better ones, but that's what I would think of. Chris, what's your favorite Sonic song? Can you elaborate on that? Like, do you mean like a Sonic, like a song in the games, like Crush 40 or something, or like a Sonic fan song, or a song in Sonic Underground? Like, elaborate on that if you could, please, and then I'll get back to you. Are you looking forward to the PS5? I already answered that question. Don't know why it's in there again. Oh, there's a free trial for Apple TV Plus? Alright, then yeah. Wait till the series has wrapped. I think it's only a couple episodes left, because I think there's 12 episodes for the first season, and they're on episode 7. That is the silly thing, is that it's one of those streaming shows where they're not putting them all out at once like Netflix does. It's every week. So you gotta wait. But wait it out until like near the end of August when the whole series is out. Get an Apple TV Plus trial. Watch the whole series. And I don't know, if you like it, then consider getting an Apple TV Plus account. That's the most you're gonna get out of me as far as a sponsored... Well, I'm not sponsored. A recommendation for Apple TV Plus. Have you seen Hamilton yet? I'm watching it tonight. Literally right after this show, I'm going to be watching Hamilton. But we still got an hour and a half of this, so patience. Speaking of HBO Max, any thoughts on South Park now part of the library? Also, would it be cool if any of the Rooster Teeth shows can be added? Well, given the fact that in order for those Rooster Teeth shows to get added, they would probably have to be taken off Verve, which I have a theory that Verve is probably on its last few legs because of HBO Max, because a lot of stuff that's on Verve is also on HBO Max, and I think eventually they're just going to dissolve and bring everything from Verve to HBO Max and shut down Verve, Verve, and which is a shame because for the most part I kind of like Verve. I've been having some issues with it lately. Pardon me. Mostly with the fucking player locking up a lot, because I've been watching an anime with my friend Chi-Chi, who popped in and said hi. I don't know if she's still watching. If you're still here, Chi-Chi, say something. But yeah, I've been watching this anime called Ozumatsu-san, which is a show from like 2015. It's basically a sort of a revival anime of a old Showa anime and manga. And probably one of the funniest shows I have seen in a while. I knew nothing about it. It was just something that Chi-Chi wanted to watch. And so we put it on one night. I think we were just both up really, really late and bored. She just brought the show up because I guess it's one of her favorite shows. And so we were watching it, and I was just busting up laughing. And it's an absolutely absurd show. It is, but it is hysterical. At least to me it is. It might not be to everyone's taste, but I really thought it was funny. But yeah, I've had some issues with her. What was the original question? South Park, now part of the library. I mean, they announced early on that South Park was going to be part of it, so that doesn't really. I mean, cool that South Park's entire library is available to watch. I don't really know what to add to that. I mean, if you love South Park, great. It's available on HBO Max. You can watch it in HD, because apparently they did do a thing where they went back and re-rendered like all the episodes, because the original show was, with the exception of the pilot episode, the original first episode, all of it's animated in Maya. So they actually still had the original source file, so they could go back, reformat, and re-render the original episodes in high definition. So the versions you see on things like HBO Max or even the Blu-rays they released are of higher quality. They did do some Lucasifying, like they changed up a few things. Like I think in my opinion, they did a good Lucasified edit. Is that they went in and fixed a few things that they didn't have time to at the time because of their schedule of having those things out like within a week. Like I think I saw a video where they were showing a back and forth of the differences, and I think it was little things like, well, they added fire to some candles that were otherwise not lit in the original. So it's very minor stuff, and I honestly don't really have a problem with it. I would love to get the Blu-rays eventually, but that's way down the line, because I think those Blu-rays are... I know they have like collected versions where they have like 5 seasons in one box, but just hasn't been on my top priorities. Let's see. Thoughts on Seth Rogen now producing TMNT? I mean, fine. Really, he's just producing. I don't know how much of an influence he's going to have on the overall production. I think it's just that his production company is financing the reboot. And, I mean, could go either way. I mean, it's Ninja Turtles. It could go good, it could go bad. We'll just have to, like with anything that's announced, I think I'll take a page from something Linkar said. My opinions are, that is a good font that they used for that press release. Because we don't know anything. We just know that they are in the works of doing it. Because for all we know, that'll come out. Things can happen behind the scenes, and the project can fall through. Like, that's the thing. We have no idea. I have no thoughts, really. It's just, we gotta wait and see. Let's see. What's your favorite... Oh, we already tried to answer that one. Oh, movie review guy. Welcome. Welcome to the show. Watched Last Samurai with Tom Cruise and Ken Watanabe. It's an excellent film. I've actually not seen that one, but I do love Ken Watanabe. So, I might see that one day. Are you excited for the new Samurai Jack game? Yeah, that looks really good. I have the box set of the complete series. I actually still haven't watched the finale season. And I bought the box set because, I wanted to show support that, to Cartoon Network. Like, hey, I like when you release things in complete series box sets. Here's my money. Please do more of these. And I've done that with pretty much every time they've done it. Well, more or less when it's something I like Courage. I hope Cartoon Network gets that memo eventually, because I want more complete series box sets from their shows, because that's my generation. Those are my favorite cartoons, and I would like to own them completely. But let's see. I didn't catch that I was away. I don't know. Are you the one that asked about the Sonic songs? Because what I asked was what you need to clarify on that. How is your opinion on Primer, Upstream Color, and Shane Kuros projects in general? I genuinely do not know any of that stuff you just listed. So I have none. Moving on. What's the worst anime movie you have ever seen in your life? Worst ever. Worst ever. I mean, Food Fight is pretty bad, and I've seen that in its entirety. Yeah, it might be Food Fight. Food Fight is absolutely atrocious. Uh, there are ones I know are bad, but I've never bothered to watch them. Like I know the famous Italian Titanic animated film. Um, God, I know because Saberspark does a lot of videos talking about bad animated films, like all those like weird, really bad 3D animated films, usually Christian films. Uh, so I would look into I mean, you guys don't need my recommend. Do you guys even need me to tell you who Saberspark is at this point? I'm sure you all watch him. Really, like, come on, the guy's got 1 million subscribers now, so I don't think I have to talk at length about him. Apple TV Plus is also on Roku TV. Oh, good. As long as you have a way to watch it. Favorite song from the Sonic film? Well, I own the soundtrack, the original score. I guess I really like Dr. Robotnik's theme because I like that they incorporated some cues from the animated series. Because if you actually like, I think it's if you speed it up slightly, you can actually hear that it goes boom boom ba-da-dum, boom ba-da ba-da-dum, which is the cues from the animated version of Robotnik's theme, which, as you all know, that's my favorite version of Robotnik, and it still is. As much as I love Jim Carrey the role, and he's fantastic. I mean, I have a poster for the film right there. So, I love Robotnik in the role, but Long John Baldry will always be my favorite Robotnik. Remember your Disney Plus video when you said Straight Story wasn't on there? I was pretty upset about that because it's one of my favorite films. Anyhow, it's on there now. Yeah, I've been told. I have since... If you guys bother to look back on that Disney Plus video, I do always put updates with the date saying when something I have mentioned in the video has been put on the service. And, well, looks like I got to update that again because Super Robot Monkey Team is apparently going on there. So when that officially debuts, I'll put another asterisk in the description that says this is there. Because something I really can't stand... I had to deal with this with the top 10 Brody YouTubers video, is something I really can't stand is when people leave comments long after the fact. I'm talking like months, even years after release, and they say, well, where's this? Or this isn't right. It's like, well, it was right when it was announced, and I usually say in the videos like, well, this can all change. Because I only made the video be like, well, I love Disney Plus. I have a lot of thoughts on it. Let's talk about it. I'm sure all you have thoughts. Like some of my videos, I just want to be a conversation. But I think I even said in the video, like, all this is just speculation. Things can change. Things can be added. Excuse me. But, that's kind of the trade-off. But I get comments, specifically with the top 10 Brody YouTubers. I actually had to turn off the notifications for that video alone. Because I would get comments of, well, where's this person? It's like, that person wasn't making videos when this was made. Like, I think I got somewhere, it's like, where's Silverquill and Dr. Wolf? It's like Silver Quill and Dr. Wolf were not even a thing when I originally made the video. They're not even in the thumbnail. Like, you know, people come, you know, come out of the woods every once in a while and all of a sudden take off, and then, you know, how dare I not put them in a video that's 3 years old? I mean, if I wanted to, I guess I could have done a sequel where it was another 10 Brony YouTubers, but I also just don't want to be making any My Little Pony related content for the foreseeable future, so that's never going to be on the table unless I'm really desperate for views. But even still, I don't even think I would go that low to start doing pony content again. But anyway, what's your favorite scene from Ralph Breaks the Internet? None of them. Anyway, in case that tone didn't... Yeah, I was not a big fan of Ralph Breaks the Internet. I thought that was far from like a really bad movie, but a really bad sequel. I don't own it. I probably will not own it. And if I did own it, it would only be if someone sent it as a gift, I guess. Because I'm really... Unless I saw it for like... If I saw the 4K for like $5... then maybe I'd consider picking it up just so I had a more complete Disney collection. But otherwise, I have no interest in owning Ralph Breaks the Internet because I really, really disliked it. Complete series, Ed, Edd n Eddy, please. I would love that too. I think we all would. Let's see. What's your personal favorite obscure 90s Saturday morning cartoon show that never got a physical release on DVD and Blu-ray? Mad Jack the Pirate. That's one of my absolute favorites. I love Bill Kopp's stuff. Like, I love Eek the Cat. I actually like Shookums and Meat. I know there are some detractors like, oh, it's a Ren and Stimpy ripoff. It's really not. And really, Ren and Stimpy was a ripoff of so many other things. I think it's only fair that there are shows that emulated, or at least went about it in a similar way. But I would argue Shookums and Meat was a far more... It had more of an identity than just a Ren and Stimpy ripoff. But yeah, no, Mad Jack the Pirate. Mad Jack the Pirate of Bill Kopp's stuff is, I think, his best work. I know there's a lot of people that probably say Eek the Cat, but I absolutely love Mad Jack the Pirate because it radiates that same energy of things like Jack of All Trades or Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., you know, those Bruce Campbell shows. Of those two, I love Jack of All Trades just a little bit more. Because I just love that goofy, idiotic straight man kind of stuff. Like, you know, I love characters like Ash Williams. And Mad Jack has a lot of the... Just has a lot of the traits that I love in Ash Williams as a character, and he's fun. It's a fun show. So yeah, that would be the one. Over the past 6 days, I've been watching Sonic Underground because I was in that mood lately. Hey, more power to you. I'm glad it brings you some joy. What's your favorite Funko Pop of all time? I do have quite a few of them. I don't know if I have a favorite. I do really like the Mr. Rogers one, but that's mostly because, well, I love Mr. Rogers, so it's kind of biased. I could cheat and say one of the rock candies, which are this sort of side series they do, mostly of female characters, which are these really stylistically cool cartoon versions, unless it's based on a cartoon character. But, you know, they've done characters like Buffy and some Disney princesses and some video game characters like Tomb Raider and Chun-Li, and they're really cute. Like, I love the rock candies. I have the Teen Titans Go Starfire rock candy, and I think of all the Funko related things I own, that is definitely one of their best builds. Like, just the way it's sculpted, it looks like a model from the show. Because I've seen some Teen Titans Go Starfire merchandise that isn't very good, but the rock candy one is by far the best. So I'll cheat slightly and say that Funko toy. Not a Funko Pop, but a Funko toy. But as far as Funko Pops, I pretty much like all the ones I have. I do have a rule when it comes to Funko Pops, which is that if I have to explain to you who the person or character is, then it's not a very good Funko Pop, because I think the best, like, I know there's a lot of people that hate Funko Pops. I kind of get it. I mean, I don't really see why the Funko Pop brand, has so much hostility toward it. It's just a toy line. It's just a toy line. You vote with your dollars. If you don't buy it, it's not hurting anyone. People buy them because of two reasons. One, they make Funko Pops out of every franchise, and they're cheap. A lot of people just buy them as essentially knickknacks for their office. Like if they're a fan of something like Nickelodeon or Muppets or Disney, they buy their favorite character and they put it on their desk. Because not, like, I always see people like, oh, they should buy, don't buy Funko Pops, buy this figure. And that figure is like $70. It's like, yeah, there's a reason people aren't buying that figure. Because not many people have $70 to spend on a fucking toy. $10 or $7.99, which is the average for a Funko Pop. Yeah, people can afford that, and it's really all they want. They just want a little keepsake of one of their favorite franchises. That's all it is. It's not hurting anyone. Are the designs kind of iffy? Sure, but that's the style of them. It doesn't really matter to me. I think the whole argument's really, really silly and way overblown. It's just a toy company. It's just a toy line. Get over it. I might need to get a refill eventually, because I've been sucking that down because my throat, for some reason, it chose until my actual live show to get a little hoarse. I don't know why. Because it was completely like quenched and hydrated before. I don't know what happened. But let me read some more of these comments. The Peanuts movie is coming to Disney Plus. Is it? Well, it is owned by Disney now, so hey, perfect. I mean, I own the 4K, so it doesn't matter too much, but good. I'm glad it'll be on a streaming service that most people own, because it's a great movie. I wish the Black Cauldron Extended Edition on Blu-ray could get released. I was really hoping that it would become a Disney Movie Club exclusive. I don't know what's going on. I'm a Disney Movie Club member, and they have not made it exclusive in months. I think Scarecrow of Romney Marsh was one of the last ones they put out since then. And thank God, because I'm glad they finally put that on Blu-ray. I love Scarecrow of Romney Marsh. Excuse me. But yeah, I hope they pick it up again. Because there's still a lot of... Hell, there's still some animated films that don't have Blu-ray releases. Like Make Mine Music isn't on Blu-ray. And Melody Time isn't on Blu-ray either. And I was kind of hoping they would do like they did with the Three Caballeros and... I'm going to mess this up. Salados Amigos, I think it's Salados Amigos. Like they made that a double bill. I was hoping they'd do the same for Melody Time and Make Mine Music. Like put those on a Blu-ray and basically like get closer to finishing up the animated run of Disney films, because that would, at that point, that would only leave Black Cauldron off the catalog, unless you count Song of the South, which I don't know if that's ever getting released. Especially right now. I think it's too touchy of a subject right now. But yeah, I wish they would do more. It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Yeah, I own that on 4K as well. It's a wonderful film. It was my favorite film of last year, and marvelous. What's your opinion on Scorsese's The Irishman and the fact that Criterion's supposed to give a physical release of it? I thought The Irishman was fantastic. I watched that with my parents one night. I enjoyed it very much. It was true Scorsese. It's a fantastic film. I am curious because it is supposed to be getting a Criterion. I wonder if it's going to be a double disc, because they might have to allocate the film to one disc because it's like a over 3-hour movie, and they'd probably have to put all the extras on a second Blu-ray disc just to accommodate. But I'm glad. I know Criterion made a deal to put a lot of Netflix exclusive stuff on Blu-ray. Like I know they're also doing American Factory. And well, they put out the Marriage Story recently, and they did Roma a while ago. I know they released Roma, which was a Netflix film. I would love it if they could get the rights to Klaus, because Klaus could really use a physical release. I would absolutely adore that, and Criterion would be great, given because I would argue that Klaus uh, fits the agenda of Criteria, which is that it's culturally and historically significant. So I think that deserves to be put on there. And really, I just want to see more animated films being represented through Criterion. In a perfect world, I would love to see the Triplets of Belleville on Criterion, because that has a Blu-ray release, but it's a Sony made-on-demand release, and unlike some made-on-demand releases, it's a BD minus R. So I'm not really willing to spend the kind of money for Triplets if it's going to be on a burned disc. I would rather it was on a pressed disc. Granted, I'm not saying that BDRs are awful, but I expect better from a big company. First of all, a company like Sony, who pioneered the format, it kind of feels like a spit in the face that they're not pressed discs, but whatever. There's imports you can buy. I think there's a Blu-ray in Japan that has English subtitles, and Japan and the US have the same region, so there's no like region locking problems. So I might just import the fucking movie. What's your personal favorite 80s or 90s Nickelodeon TV show that never got a physical release? That never got one? Kenan and Kel. I know it has like DVDs, but they cheated with those because they called it the best of, and they only call it best of because for some reason they omitted like one or two episodes in their respective season sets. So I chose not to support those releases because, like, if you're gonna put these out, put out all the episodes. I think the reason the episodes were omitted, which is strange to me, is because those episodes I think used songs, like rap songs or something that they would obviously have to pay to relicense for DVD. But usually when people, like, companies aren't willing to pay the license, they usually just remove the song and put in a sound-alike, which I would have been all for, because I don't recall if in those episodes the songs are innate to the plot. But it's like, why would you just omit the whole episode when all you have to do is replace or just take out the music? It just seems like you, instead of trimming the fat, you cut the whole leg. So there's no reason to do that. My favorite Sonic Underground character is Manic the Hedgehog. Cool. Would it be cool if Avengers Endgame was released on VHS? God, how many tapes would that be on? Like fucking 4? I know there's like a guy on Instagram, excuse me, who makes custom VHS tapes of more recent releases. His work is really, really good. You know what? I'm actually gonna look him up just because if I'm gonna be talking about him, I might as well say his Instagram profile. Let me look him up because I know I follow him. Came for this. Where is he? I know I follow him. I'll just keep scrolling until I come across one of his posts. But yeah, what's your first Disney VHS you owned? It was probably a Winnie the Pooh tape when I was very, very young. I didn't have a whole lot of Disney tapes growing up. I had a lot of Don Bluth films and like Charlie Brown things. But the thing is, most of the tapes I had growing up were not like physically bought. My father actually worked at Tower Records, and for some of you young people who maybe don't remember what that is, Tower Records was a retail. Well, I don't know about retail, but it was a record store. But like any record store, it sold other media. They sold VHS, and obviously eventually CDs, cassettes. I think they sold DVDs on their last few years, But yeah, my father worked at Tower Records, and a lot of the tapes that I had were duplicates of tapes from Tower Records. So I didn't own a whole lot of legitimate copies of things. They were all like copies of legit copies. So yeah, I didn't own a whole lot, but the ones that I did, I recall not a lot of Disney tapes, at least compared to other things that we had. And VCR World. If you guys have Instagram accounts and you are a fan of VHS and fan stuff, go look up VCR Word. It's all one word. VCR World. VCRWORLD. Excuse me. The guy's really cool. He makes some really cool stuff. I don't. Excuse me. I don't think he sells a lot of them. I don't think he sells them at all. Probably legally can't. But he does make some really groovy stuff, and I recommend you guys check him out. Hi, Chris. Love the channel and your Sonic movie poster. Do you think Disney has quietly ended the Signature Collection or will continue? And are you excited for Muppets Now? I'm very excited for Muppets Now. As far as the Signature, I don't know. Disney definitely seems very quiet about their catalog as far as physical media. My assumption is they're probably putting it on hiatus for a bit to focus their efforts on Disney Plus. I don't know if it's going like I don't think it's going to be called off per se. I don't know why they would. But I definitely think Disney Plus is top priority right now, so maybe not for the foreseeable future. I don't think that definitely doesn't mean forever. And I obviously can't speak for them. I'm not a representative of Disney, and I don't know anyone that reps Disney, so I can't really make that deduction. But it's definitely quiet right now. But I wouldn't give up hope just yet. What was your first PG-13 film you saw in theaters? Mine was Spider-Man 2. Probably X-Men. That's the earliest one I can remember that I know was PG-13. My uncle had a habit of taking me and my brother to every comic book film adaptation because he is a comic book fan. So we saw like all of them, even the shitty ones. Like we saw Hulk, saw Daredevil. Yeah, we pretty much saw all of them. And yeah, those are some good times. Stanley Kubrick collection on Blu-ray, cheap. Any ideas? I would hold off on buying any Kubrick collections because I know a couple of his films have been rescanned for 4K. I think 2001 either got or is getting a 4K, and Kubrick films are the ones that I would say I recommend getting 4Ks because they're doing like complete restorations for those, so they're going to look bomber on 4K. And also because a couple of his films have been reissued through Criterion. Doctor Strangelove got a Criterion a while back, and apparently Criterion has the rights to Eyes Wide Shut, and they're going to be releasing that on Criterion soon. So I would not buy any Kubrick box sets just yet because I know it sounds awful to be like, well, I could just buy them all in one box, like one and done. Yeah, but as a film buff and as a physical media hound, I would rather get all the best versions individually than just buy a box set with inferior copies. So I would hold off on that. We are missing the Jungle Book signature and the supposed Fantasia. Well, I own both those on the regular edition, so the signature collections don't matter much to me because I prefer the original like diamond and platinum editions that they put out back in the day. The signature collections didn't really add a whole lot except for inferior box art because they saved money on printing by making the covers white and just adding like a vector here and there. I really hated the signature collection releases. But you know, I practically own. I don't own all. I am missing quite a few Disney titles that I do need to acquire because I was There was a point where I was collecting them hardcore, like getting them every paycheck. But then I think I slowed down after a bit because for one reason or another. But I've been meaning to get back into the Disney collecting swing. But as I mentioned earlier, Lupin stuff is top priority as far as bulk collecting. So when that's out of the way, maybe I'll pick up Disney collecting again or whatever other thing, like whatever the future holds. I my goal this year, like this year and going into next year, is to finish up collections that I have been meaning to either start or finish. Will you do a Toy Story marathon? Probably not. I don't know why I would. Not sure if anyone would even watch that. Will you give a Know What You Did Last Summer a watch sometime? I mean, I would probably check it out if it was on a streaming service that I had. Maybe. Like, to me, that sounds like a group viewing activity. I don't know if I'd watch it alone because I probably wouldn't get a lot of mileage out of it. But I'll consider it. Have fun making more future content for your channel. See you later. Oh, you see? Alright, see you, Ethan. Excuse me. Disney seriously needs to get the original unaltered cuts of the original trilogy. They legally can't release them. Because it was part of the original deal that Bob Iger and Lucasfilm signed that they're not allowed to release the original cuts, unfortunately. So you could probably, there are those Harmy editions. Just go find the ISOs, burn them onto your own Blu-rays, print your own covers. It's the best you're probably going to get in this lifetime, unfortunately. Unless, like, I don't know, unless George Lucas kicks the bucket and the contracts get reevaluated. I don't know. But yeah, I we're not going to be seeing those cuts anytime soon because they are legally not allowed to release them. Sorry, everybody. I hate it just as much as the rest of you, but they're not they are not legally allowed to release those. Marks the 25th anniversary for Toy Story and the 10th for 20. Really, Toy Story 3 was 10 years ago? Oh god. You just made me feel so goddamn old. Shut up. Alright, well, I am going to take 2 minutes. Time me if you have to. I am going to go get a refill on this beverage because we still have another hour of this stream. I might even go slightly over just to run up because of the technical difficulties earlier. But while I'm gone, prepare more questions. And remember, be sure to @ me so I can see it and read it. But yeah, get your questions ready. I will be right back. All right. That should do it. We're getting old. Yeah, yeah, we are. Well, some of us anyway. I actually don't know what my audience. I think at last I checked, it was like 18 to 24. But for all I know, I might even have younger fans or viewers, I should say. I prefer viewer. Let's see. 2001 got a 4K last year. You should get it, Chris. I heard it's beautiful. I remember hearing about the restoration they were doing with that. So I didn't know if it came out this year or at all. Chris, does the Sonic Explorer really have bonus features? Yes, it does. They're listed on the back of the box. They have openings and well, now I don't remember because I don't have it in my hand. I think it had storyboards or something. I don't remember. But yeah, it does have bonus features. I think they're on the second disc. I don't remember. I really don't remember because Sonic X was one of the biggest undertakings because that is a God, what did that show run for? 78 episodes or something? And I wanted to be really, really committed to that video. So, uh, depending on what I'm reviewing, when specifically it's a show, uh, like I know back in the day when I got press copies and didn't have time to commit to a full series, I would usually watch some of the episodes to kind of uh, get a general sense of the show and whether or not I would recommend watching. Because my rule of thumb is if a show doesn't get you by like the third or fourth episode, it's probably not for you. So my rule was if it was a show that I wasn't familiar with and needed to review, I would at least watch the first three episodes and see and write whether or not I would continue watching it, and usually use that for the basis of the review. But with Sonic X, I wanted to get away from some of that stuff because at least with Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, I didn't need to rewatch like all 52 episodes because I grew up with the show and I knew that I still loved the show because I had revisited it as recently as this year. I'm sorry, last year. Still thinking it's 2019. Because I think it was on Netflix, so I was like, oh my god, I love this show. So I was rewatching it on Netflix. And I still thought the show was funny and entertaining, and I carried that over to the review. But with Sonic X, it was like, I really wanted to rewatch the show. And I knew at this point, like, everyone and their dog was doing Sonic X reviews and saying, like, oh, it's an awful show. I was like, I don't know. I remember liking it. I don't know if I agree with some of these opinions because I in my I think a lot of the people who were reviewing Sonic X didn't grow up with it, which is not to make it sound like territoriality. Like, well, I grew up with it, so my opinion's better. It more or less like I wanted to bring something different to the table because I felt like there was just too much rah to Sonic X, like old man yells at cloud kind of stuff. Like, yeah, of course Sonic X is cheesy. Sonic is a cheesy franchise. But whatever. So when I did the video, I was like, well, I'm going to commit. I'm going to rewatch all the episodes to refamiliarize everything and see how it holds up. And my takeaway was I still like it. And I know a lot of people say things like, oh, just go to the Metarex Saga. That's the good season. And I'm like, the reason the Metarex Saga is so good would only be because a lot of people didn't like the adventure and New World sagas from the original, like because the Metarex saga was commissioned specifically by 4Kids to make because Japan only just got the Metarex saga. Actually, I think I read recently that it aired for the first time in Japan like late last year or something. But yeah, what even was the original topic? Oh yeah, that Sonic X has Blu-rays. Yeah, the Sonic X bonus feature says, I don't know why. Like, if it doesn't have bonus features, that would be a very weird thing to write on the back of the box. I recall it having bonus features. Excuse me. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. Army of Darkness. I understand that reference. Jesus, there we go. I own the Harmy Despecialized Edition. It's amazing. By the way, sorry about the Toy Story comment. No. It's more just a jab. Don't worry about it. And yeah, those Harmy Despecialized are great. Those guys did a fantastic job recreating that. I don't have the 4K 77 projects because they're large files. I'm just fine with Harmy Specialized editions. I am not familiar with the 4K 77. You have to link me something about that. I have actually not heard about that. Do you have the original Teen Titans Complete series? Yes. I bought the Blu-ray. I have been meaning to do a review on that one. I mean, I know there's only 14 of you, but type in the chat if you guys would still like to see a Teen Titans Complete series Blu-ray review. Just say yes, or even just type Y. That will give you a bit of a wage of whether or not I should still go for it, because when I was going to do it, it was obviously a little more relevant. But I would still like to talk about it because I love Teen Titans. It's a It's a generic phrase, but I grew up watching Teen Titans, and I have a lot of sentimental attachment to that original show. And I'm also one of those few guys that does not hate Teen Titans Go, so I do have a bit to say about it. And the Blu-rays look fantastic, so I would love to talk about it. But the only thing that would convince me to do it is if enough people were willing to support that video, because that kind of a video is a risk, because not a lot of people are talking about Teen Titans right now. So it wouldn't be very algorithm friendly. Like that is the big problem with modern YouTube is, you got to make things that the algorithm can recommend. So they got to be 10 minutes, and they got to be topics that I guess are like relevant to people's interests. And I got lucky with a couple of them, because I guess, the Sonic stuff, because Sonic was relevant because of the movie. And I don't know why Invader Zim performed as well as it did. I don't think Invader Zim was really that relevant by the time I made that video. But I'll take it, because I had been meaning to do that video for a while, and I'm glad I did, because I really like how it turned out. I'm seeing a lot of yeses, so okay, I'll hold you to that. I will look into doing the Teen Titans. Heck, I'll even try to do it this month. I'll no promises, but I will try to do it this month. But you guys, you gotta throw me bones here, man. Like, be sure to go, if you haven't already, go to the videos, like them, share them, leave comments, because like I keep saying, that's what feeds the YouTube algorithm. That's what keeps it fed and helps the channel. They really like engagement. It's actually why in more recent videos I've been ending with things like, like asking questions to leave in the comments, because it increases interactivity in there, and the YouTube algorithm really, really likes that, because when they see a lot of comments, they are basically the computers are like, whoa, that's a very active comment section. We got to recommend that video. Boom, 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 boom. That's why the Sonic X video has like 4,000 views, because it has like over 70 comments or something. So because it gets so many comments, YouTube just keeps sending the video to recommend to people. So that's what you got to do now. Unfortunately, I hate asking I hope you guys understand. I detest the generic like, comment, subscribe. I hate that so much, because it sounds like you're demeaning the audience. Like, it sounds like do you think your audience is so dumb they don't know how to type a comment or hit a button? But unfortunately, we're a slave to the algorithm. We have to tell you guys to do that, because YouTube won't recommend the videos otherwise, and it's why so many channels shrivel up and die, because the algorithm doesn't recommend the videos. And if the videos aren't recommended, then people don't discover the channel, and the channel doesn't grow. If the channel doesn't grow, then the content creator can't sustain anything. Like, again, I'm not making any kind of significant income with this channel. Like, first of all, the channel's not even monetized. Like, currently, none. No money. The only money that this channel gets is through Patreon, which is also not a very successful Patreon. I've plugged it many, many times, but we only have like 7 patrons, which, again, very thankful for every single one of those people who support my channel with Patreon. It is 100% just absolutely breathtaking that they do that. However, if we are speaking logically, like financially speaking, and like, I will use this to talk about like why channel content isn't as frequent as it should be, at least like on some channels. The Patreon is not a very financially stable place. It right now, currently, like as I am streaming this right now, I only make $22 a month through Patreon, which, remember, the channel's not monetized. So Patreon is the only income when it comes to this channel alone. All right? $22 can't even get you some of the more recent releases. So keep that in mind. Let alone pay for the bills like lights, housing, pay for things like food so I can live and continue. So I can't rely on the channel for income. So that is a problem. However, I have other gigs. My main income is through a channel called DA Games, which has a lot of. For those who don't know it, it is a YouTube channel primarily about video games, gaming culture, gaming music, that kind of thing. I work for that channel a lot, and that is where my main income comes from. That is where I am able to sustain my living. It is because of that and my commitment to that kind of work, which is why the content here kind of suffers for that, because my priorities have to be over there, because that's where the money is and I need the money to survive. If the roles were reversed, it would be a completely different situation. Excuse me. So, in other words, support your fellow channel. Like, not asking you to go to Patreon, but I am asking that you like the videos, comment, share them, because in doing so, the videos get recommended. If the videos get recommended, then there could be a guy, or a guy in the general sense, like a person who will find the channel, really like what they see, and feel inclined to support through Patreon. So you just got to help the channel grow. If you guys are able to donate small like money, like we do, like the smallest you could do is $1 a month, and $1 a month gets your name in the credits of every video. So that alone, if you could spare that, then by all means, you can go to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/aficionadoschris. But otherwise, just liking the videos and commenting is more than enough, because it helps the channel. So that's really all I can say about that. If you want to see more content and a bit more on the regular, then you have to show support, because it's the only way that it can be sustained. Because again, there's really no money coming through with this. It is all based on my enjoyment of making the content, and for just the joy that the videos hopefully bring you. So that's really the reason I do it, is because I enjoy it and I enjoy the people who enjoy the content. I'd watch anything you do, but I'm too interested. I'd watch anything you do, but I'm too interested in the property. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say with that sentence, but I'm glad you watch what I do. I remember way back in the day, people used to complain about both 4Kids and how they handled Sonic X and the change in the voice cast. Yeah, well, I mean, I talked all about that in the video. Still very, very much like how that video turned out. It's one of my favorite videos of the recent year. Don't answer if you don't want to. How's your documentary on Will coming? Dead in the water. Yeah, so many. I can't say some things on. I didn't sign anything, because I mean, obviously it's my documentary, so I don't need to sign an NDA. But out of courtesy, I will not say details. But a lot of stuff happened that just kind of rendered the project, the way it was being approached, to not really materialize the way I would have wanted it to. So, and then I got a promotion at DA Games, because at the time I was making that, I was just the editor, but now I'm basically a manager of the channel. Like, I help produce projects. Like, I've produced some singles, not all the singles, but I've produced a couple singles for the channel. We're working on one right now, actually. I can't say what it is because we haven't formally announced it. But yeah, that documentary is probably not happening. I got like 10, maybe 15% far into it before things went into a different direction, and the project would have had to have gone through a completely different, like, it basically have to do a whole U-turn in order to work, and I really wasn't willing to go about the change. As well as, at that point, I was like, if I was going to do this, I would need more hands on deck, and a lot of people just were not, like, I don't want people to work for free, and I wasn't making enough money to justify, spending it for the project. And, the project, again, wasn't turning out the way it was originally conceived, and I just kind of lost the motivation to keep at it. And it disappoints me, because I wanted to make it, and you know, but these kind of things happen. They're out of your control, and what are you gonna do? What do you think about DuckTales season 3? I haven't even finished season 2. I know it's on Disney Plus, but I do plan to take some time and catch up on DuckTales. I know there's apparently an episode where they go to Japan and they threw in some Lupin the Third references, so I am looking forward to seeing that one specifically. Chris, do you happen to watch Nostalgia Critic? Nope, not anymore. Not in a very long time. I do not support the Nostalgia Critic anymore. I did interview him a very, very long time ago, but no, I do not watch the Nostalgia Critic. I recommend that you guys don't either. I really hope you get a chance to continue to make the documentary. Don't hold your breath. I have thought about maybe releasing a short, like if I did make it and released it, it wouldn't be feature length. It would be maybe like 30 or 40 minutes. It wouldn't be very, very long. And if I released it, then we would release it on the DA Games channel for free. We would obviously put ads at like the beginning, the middle, and end or something, so that I could still get some revenue out of it just for the hard work. But otherwise, yeah, it wouldn't be released the way it was originally envisioned, because it was going to be feature length and, you know, released on home video, that kind of thing, like through Kunaki or something. But yeah, as it stands, no, not happening. What do you think about? I already asked that. Is there a cheap Stanley Kubrick Blu-ray collection anywhere? I don't think so. You're probably gonna be spending like over 50, maybe even 70 or even $100. I haven't checked it a long time because I didn't want to buy the Kubrick box set because I wanted to get the better editions. But I don't know if there's a cheap box set. I would just collect the films as you go, especially since there are some Kubrick films that aren't in those box sets. Like Paths of Glory is not in any of the box sets. You can only get that through Criterion. And one of his earlier films, Fear and Desire, is also not in those box sets. You can only get that through Kino. So I would not bank on box sets. You can't get... Not every box set has everything, because not everything is owned by the same company. I don't think Spartacus is in those box sets either, because I think Universal owns that. I don't remember, because I know the box set's by Warner Brothers, but I don't remember. I still watch Critic. I still like him. I hate his review of The Wall, however. That one is garbage. I don't like Critic because I don't like how things were handled during that whole fiasco. Although I do love Tamra. But that's about it, really. I don't like the Critic, but I love Tamra. I don't watch Chris Stuckman regularly, but he and I are good. We had some... we had some bad blood a while back, but yeah, I think like a couple years ago, he and I buried the hatchet. We had a conversation. We worked things out, and yeah, he and we're on good terms. I don't know if he watches me. I barely watch him. I don't even think I'm subscribed to him, to be honest. But yeah, I wish no ill will toward Chris Stuckman, because all the things that happened in the past, well, that's just it. They're in the past, and they're not nearly the amount. Like they don't even get. They're nothing compared to what Doug, Rob, and Mike Machad did back in the day with Channel Awesome. So, yeah, no, Stuckman and I are good. I don't really have a big problem with Stuckman. I think. I'm personally not a big fan of his content. I find it very droll by the numbers kind of stuff. And not saying that he is droll or by the numbers, but I'm not really interested in watching people who just sit and talk per se. But that's just me. There are millions of people, or at least a million people, that really enjoy watching Chris Stuckman just talk about movies. So more power to them if that is up their alley. And there are people who I can just watch only sitting and talking about movies. but they're not Chris Stuckman, which is the problem. Do you still watch Dave Lee? Oh yeah. Dave Lee and I are friends. We support each other. I met Dave Lee. Excuse me, because I think I came across his channel one day and I was like, oh wow, this is a really good channel. Because I think I was looking up Disney stuff. I don't remember what it was. It might have been Celebrating Mickey because I was trying to find information about it and I found a video talking about it and I was like, wow, this guy's really good. What else does he do? And I found like he had all this Disney content. I was like, oh, my kind of guy. And I found him on Twitter and I messaged him saying, hey, I just discovered a channel. I think it's really, really great stuff. If you ever are interested, I would love to collaborate with you sometime. And then he wrote back to me saying like, that meant the world because you inspired my channel. I was like, whoa, what? I inspired your channel. Okay. But yeah, and basically we talked a lot. We still talk. We did a collaboration review with Celebrated Mickey. I had him on my Air podcast. I think he was actually the last episode of that season. So, and we still talk. And when he's doing live shows, I tend to pop in when I can, throw him a little $2 donation because I love him to death. I think he's a great content creator and a really, really great guy. So yeah, I love Dave Lee Down Under. What record player would you recommend for beginners who are on a budget? I don't know if I'm quite the person to ask because my record player is a hand-me-down from my brother. He is an expert when it comes to like that kind of tech. I guess an Audio-Technica, if you're a beginner and you have very low money. The only thing I can tell you is don't buy a Crosley. Crosleys are garbage. Like, those are the absolute worst turntables you can buy. Audio-Technicas, I don't know if they're... I don't know, there might be some audiophiles that be like, well, they're not that great. Well, I think they're good enough for people who are just getting into vinyl collecting. And again, don't have a lot of money. So I would look into Audio-Technicas. And if you want to get serious, I would do a lot of research. Talk to audiophiles, read up on the technology, read up on the brands, consider the pros and cons, all that kind of stuff, and then come to your own conclusions. What about Jeremy Johns? Jeremy Johns I don't like. Mostly because Jeremy Johns... It doesn't matter. He doesn't watch. Jeremy Johns is a fucking prick. Back in the day, during the early like film, the film community days, Jeremy Johns was an egotistical asshole. He was one of those guys who treated people with less viewers and subscribers as lesser people. Like basically anyone who wasn't to his level, he treated like dirt. I know this sounds weird. It's like, well, you're talking hot shit, but did you ever meet the guy? No, but a lot of my closest friends in that community had met him, and they had these horrible fucking anecdotes about how he treated people, and I was just like, wow, okay, no reason to support that douchebag. And these are people I trust. Like they wouldn't lie for the sake of drama. So I really heeded their advice. It was like, well, I'm going to avoid this guy for the rest of my life. Also, I kind of just really hated his content. For me, it was like the epitome of bad YouTube content because it was obnoxious, flashy, and short. It was like if Shane Dawson was reviewing movies. It was just, I honestly just thought his content was awful. I could not stand it. Hated any video the guy ever fucking made. And again, the guy was a prick. A lot of the people a lot of the big people in that community were absolute fucking assholes. Kristian Harloff is another one. Kristian Harloff is a fucking... Well, he's still a prick. There was like a video that came out, it was making the rounds a while ago, about him bitching about not getting invited to the Star Wars land at Disneyland. Forgive me, I don't remember what it's actually called. But yeah, there's like this video of him like bitching and moaning that he didn't get invited. And I thought it was funny that some people were like, oh my god, why is he talking like this? It's like, that's the Kristian Harloff I know. A fucking egotistical prick who thinks he's better than everyone. He was always like that. It's just only now that people start to fucking notice. I apologize that I'm swearing a lot. When I start to get in a zone and start to relax, my blue collar East Coast side starts to show and I start swearing. And I know you guys aren't used to that on the channel, but yeah. Galaxy's Edge, yes, thank you. Galaxy's Edge, that's what it's called. Yeah. So yeah, fuck Jeremy Johns, fuck Kristian Harloff. Continue to support Stuckman. Stuckman's an alright guy. He's made an actual effort to be better, unlike the other two people, because clearly at least Kristian Harloff is no different. Maybe Johns has changed, but his content certainly still doesn't appeal to me. So I don't know. I've never seen any iota of him acknowledging his past sins, or trying to make trying to better. I don't know. I've never heard from anyone that I trust that he's made an effort to amend that kind of stuff. So screw him as well. But as far as I can remember from that community, that's about it as far as like really troublesome big creators. Unless I'm forgetting ones that I just don't remember. Maybe there's a reason. Have you watched the Dead Meat? I remember you recommend that. I don't think I ever got around to that. But yeah, I'll look them up later. What are your thoughts on the Super Mario movie by Illumination? Well, considering like Nintendo, I think is consulting or something. Like I think they're highly involved. I think it'll be fine. I don't really know how bad it could be, but then again, I like the Bob Hoskins film, so I'm probably not the guy to ask about whether or not it's going to be a good thing. Don't think about Tamara like that when Joey's your man. Joey, good old Joey. Nah, I do love Tamara. I have thought about approaching Tamara for a video collaboration. I think it could be fun. Feelings aside, I mean, she's absolutely precious, adorable. I love Tamara Lynn Chambers. And you guys are allowed to clip this and send that to her. I don't give a shit. Honestly, she'd probably just like the fact that someone thinks of her that way. But yeah, I have thought about doing a video with Tamara because I know she does the thing on her channel of the Tamara's Never Seen, which is interesting. I don't know. It was just an interesting perspective to hear reviews from someone who doesn't watch a lot of movies. I don't know why. It's probably one of their best things they ever made, which honestly it's probably because it feels like old nostalgia critic, because it's not overly flashy or trying to be more than it actually is. It's just, well, kind of like Chris Stuckman. It's just someone sitting and talking about a movie. But for some reason, I'm far more interested. I guess it's just the dynamic, because again, it's someone who's not an avid movie watcher talking about films and watching them for the first time. So there's like a charm to that I really like. I don't know what I would do as far as a subject with Tamara Chambers. You guys can shoot suggestions, but yeah, I don't know what I would love to. I just don't know. Like when I approach for collabs, I want to have something that fits in with the content creator's strengths. Because, you want to have someone to bounce off of, I would think. Excuse me. Say what you want about the 90s Mario movie, but Hoskins and Leguizamo are great casting choices. I mean, yeah, I agree, because, okay. Leguizamo maybe not, only because Leguizamo's Hispanic and Luigi and Mario are Italian. However, ethnic casting aside, the chemistry between those two, I think, is great. Bob Hoskins, I don't care what anyone says, Bob Hoskins is a phenomenal Mario. I loved Bob. Rest his soul. Bob was great. Like, I loved watching him in that movie. And yeah, I think it's a fun movie. I do still plan to do a video talking about the Super Mario Bros. Movie, because I have played around with the idea of doing a video series called, I actually renamed it recently. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Unspoiled, which would be a series of videos where I talk about movies and maybe shows, but mostly movies with bad reputations that I think are, like, I personally enjoy, and in some cases, much like the Sonic X video where I propose a defense for these things, because there are some where I'm like, okay, yeah, but there's things you have to consider that a lot of people don't. Like there's movies with like production drama and other effects that rendered the films the way they are, and it's like that sort of, but you gotta take it for what it is, and what it is, it's fun. Like the three films that I would like to do Super Mario Brothers. That's definitely like the top priority, because I know how many people, it's almost a cliche to do a video about how much you hate the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which I think is a bit in my original draft, where I just spotlight a bunch of different thumbnails of people, and it's all the same. It's always people like, or like ripping the movie in half, or like, ooh. It's like, guys, come on. It's not that bad. Like, is it a bad adaptation? Yeah, but it's also based on a game that didn't have a lot of lore back then, so they didn't really have a lot to work with. And considering that with what they had to work with, they got pretty far. And I don't care what anyone says. I love the aesthetic of the movie. I like that it didn't go for an overly cutesy, colorful fantasy world. I like that it went with a kind of Blade Runner, Jurassic Park dark tone. I really like the contrast. I don't know why. And funny enough, I think the set designer from Blade Runner actually worked on the film, so that's why it kind of feels like Blade Runner. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. The Blu-ray I have, which I imported from the UK, has like a whole documentary as a bonus feature where they talk with like people, at least the ones who were either willing or still alive, talk about the film. A lot of them positive. Like they focus on, like, you know, they talk about the issues the film had, you know, during production, but there's a lot of like people going, yeah, I overall am proud of the film. And I think it was actually like fans that made the documentary, because there is a fan site dedicated to preserving and archiving the Super Mario Brothers film, and I think it's good. I think it's a fun movie. I've probably missed a lot of questions. Hello from Seattle. Hello, as told by Gonzo. We're actually going to be wrapping up in about 30 minutes, because I think it's right around the 2 hour 10-minute mark, and I'm going to run it up to just slightly above 240. Again, just so I can cut out the issues in the beginning. I watched Roger Rabbit recently for the first time. It is amazing. I love Richard Williams' animation, the imagination of characters. Roger Rabbit's a classic film. I mean, I don't really think I have to say much about that. I love Roger Rabbit. Excuse me. What is it about this juice that is making me gassy? So strange. Whatever. What's your personal favorite movie based on a video game? Sonic. Oh no! Now we got hiccups. Oh boy, it's almost like a sign that I need to be wrapping this up, but I refuse to. Come hell or high water. But yeah. The Sonic movie is definitely way up there. But if you saw, I hope you did, because if the views are any indication, not a lot of people saw the Sonic movie review that I did. So if you haven't, go watch it, and if you have, like it, comment, and share it, because I could really use a view boost on that video, because that one underperformed, and I'm a little upset about that. I'm not like, but you know, it was a little disheartening to see that, you know, that one underperformed, because I put a lot of work into that one. Especially with the special effects, like that was a serious undertaking, because I hadn't done some of those effects like ever, and I did it all myself. So it's Mario and Luigi Mario. Well, canonically, yes, because everyone always makes fun of that scene. We're like, well, get it. So it's Mario? Yes, it's called Super Mario Brothers. Mario is implied to be the surname. Come on. It's called the Fleischer Brothers because their last name was Fleischer. Like, come on. Why? How is... It's not rocket science. Also, to be honest, the Nostalgia Critic review of Super Mario Bros. Is probably one of his worst reviews. If I'm going to be really, really honest. It really stretches to try and make... It's bad. It's a bad review. So it's the Street Fighter one as well. I hated Street Fighter review because I also love the Street Fighter movie. But yeah, if you saw the Sonic movie review, I did list off quite a few video game movies that I like. I think if I was to pick one under Sonic, definitely the Mortal Kombat film. I really love Paul W.S. Anderson's Mortal Kombat. I think it's great. Again, for what it is, because I know a lot of people complain about it being rated PG-13, that it should have gone, with a harder R. But if you consider the time that it came out, it was still kind of iffy to do video game film adaptations, and they wanted the most marketable. You needed to get the most audience you could to make sure the film was a success. An R rating would have shielded off a very large audience that they wanted, so that was a compromise. And for a PG-13, I still think it's an entertaining movie. Is Roger Rabbit on Disney Plus? Yeah, last I checked it is. I don't know why it wouldn't be. Wallace and Gromit. What about Wallace and Gromit? I love Wallace and Gromit. My favorite one is The Wrong Trousers. I've seen your Sonic movie review. Then be sure to like, comment, and share. Do all that fun stuff if you haven't. I want a ring portal to the Barnes & Noble Criterion Section 2. That wasn't the Barnes & Noble. That was the Criterion Closet. The actual, closet in the Criterion headquarters. There's, a whole series on their YouTube channel where they have, actors, filmmakers. They invite them to the closet, and they can take... Basically, the gimmick is that they can just take their pick of things they want, talk about them, and then, keep them. I've always wanted to go to the Criterion Closet, so that's the joke in the video of, I'm thinking the Criterion Closet because you can just grab shit and take it. And I would be cleaning that closet out. I mean, I wouldn't go crazy like some people I've seen who go to the Criterion Closet, but I would take a hefty sum. Are you hyped for Space Jam 2? I'm not hyped, because I really hate the first Space Jam. But I am going to see Space Jam 2 because I do want to support more, live-action animated hybrids. I do want to see more creative films. Stuff that I love. If I have to swallow my pride and see Space Jam 2 to send a message to Hollywood that I want to see more films like this, then I will. But I'm not going to enjoy it. Although Eric Bauza is playing Bugs and Daffy, and I love Eric, so I'll at least support that as well. I'll go to support Eric, who I adore. I've seen the Criterion Closet videos. The one with Terry Gilliam is great. Yeah, I love the Criterion Closet videos. I love the Del Toro one because of the fact that he walks in and he owns, he talks about how he just has everything already, so he only takes, 3. And he wanted to take 4, but they didn't have it in the closet, and they were like, oh, we'll mail it to you. I love those videos. I think they're great. I also just love hearing people in the industry, veterans of the industry, talking about films, especially since they'll talk about stuff that you wouldn't even expect them to be either familiar with or you'd be like, oh, I didn't even know you'd be into that kind of thing. I think I realized a lot of filmmakers really like a lot of filmmakers really like Eating Raoul, which I know is a very culty kind of film. So it's always fun to watch those because you get a little you pick up on patterns. Oh, a lot of people really like this film. I see a lot of people recommending that film. Yeah, and I know a lot of Criterion stuff is on HBO Max. I've put a lot of it on my watch list because there are still some films released by Criterion that I have yet to see. Sadly, a lot of Akira Kurosawa stuff I haven't seen all his films, so I put a lot of them in that list so I can catch up on those because it's Akira Kurosawa. You gotta watch his stuff. I think Yu-Gi-Oh is repetitive. I mean, sure, I guess it does follow a formula. I don't know what prompted that, but okay. Do you like The Goonies? I actually have never seen The Goonies. It's one of the few childhood films that I did not grow up with. Another one which is kind of blasphemous given what I do and what I love. I've actually never seen The Dark Crystal. I've been meaning to amend that. I know The Dark Crystal's on Netflix and they have that prequel show, but I want to watch the film before I watch the prequel series, and I've heard great things about the series. So I do plan to set. I know I say this a lot, but I do plan to set some time aside and watch the Dark Crystal. Quite a few things seem like All That Jazz. They mention it as one of the watched in film school. Yeah, they do mention All That Jazz a lot. I know there's more. I know there's one where Edgar Wright talked about a lot of really really groovy stuff. I think he talked about Man Without a Face. I think was one of them. Shameless plug for a chill SpongeBob stream after Hamilton. Ha! I mean, yeah, sure, why not? If we're still up, we need to fix that. Yeah, I still haven't seen Dark Crystal. I'm sorry, I didn't grow up with it. But I do plan to fix that. How about Frozen? What about Frozen? Well, I think Frozen's fine. I'm not in love with it. I definitely love Tangled a lot more than Frozen, but I don't think Frozen's awful, like a lot of people do. The only recent Disney animated films where I wasn't all over them, I really didn't like Zootopia, and that I don't know if that's blasphemous to say. I felt the message of Zootopia was kind of foggy. Like I wasn't quite. I don't know. I didn't think Zootopia was as prolific as it thought it was. To be even more brutally honest, I think Cats Don't Dance does a better job with the message it's trying to convey than Zootopia does. And also, I'm going to be even more honest and say I think Cats Don't Dance is a better movie than Zootopia. But also because I'm a sucker for that era of filmmaking. I love, the 50s, the 50s and 60s era of like musical films. Like Singing in the Rain is one of my absolute favorite movies. So it irradiates intentionally, obviously, but it radiates the energy of a Gene Kelly musical, and I love Gene Kelly musicals. So I love Cats Don't Dance. Scooby-Doo meets Steve Urkel in his latest show. Scooby-Doo and Guess Who. I did see a clip going around of Steve Urkel in that, and that makes me happy because I grew up with Family Matters. And, I mean, it did sound a bit strained, like that Gilio was really having difficulty getting back into the Steve Urkel voice, but if that's the last time he ever plays the character, then good on him, because I Steve Urkel and Alf, those are my kings of growing up. And I know Alf just came back because he was hosting like a gaming event or something. So, and who knows, maybe there'll be an Alf resurgence. I don't know. Any new Alf, I'll take it. Did you see Ralph Breaks the Internet? Yes, and thank you for reminding me, because I hated Ralph Breaks the Internet. So, okay. Yeah, that's the other one, because I think I said there are two. Zootopia and Ralph Breaks the Internet. But I really dislike Ralph Breaks the Internet, because I saw it in theaters, and when I first saw it, I was like, it was okay. But then I, like, sat and thought about it for a couple days, and I was like, it was the first time in a while where I was, like, actually getting legit angry thinking about the film. I was like, wow, that was a piece of shit in retrospect. The fuck did it have to do... The fuck did it have to do with video games? Like, I know it's like, well, it's called Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's not about video games. It's Wreck-It Ralph. The whole gimmick of the film is that he's a video game character in a video game world. And like 90% of the film is spent focusing on being on the internet and really outdated internet terminology. And even like fucking dated jokes. I think the most insulting one was the eBay joke where it's like, get it? It's like an actual auction house with a gavel and everything. And I'm thinking, yeah, Rich Moore, I remember that joke. In Futurama, a show you worked on. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, an episode that you directed. I'd have to double check that, but I think he directed that episode where Futurama did that same joke fucking 10 years ago! But, yeah, I hated that, and I really hated how they they kept promoting it, and I thought it was a cute idea, but how they shoehorned in the Disney princesses, and really just the whole, like, Disney self-awareness was really... It did not work. And the fact that the only good thing I could say about the film is I really like that Sonic had more of a presence is saying a lot. Because Sonic only has, like, 2 fucking scenes. It's bad. And it's also... the way they handle Ralph as a character is awful, because everything that happens in that film is such a betrayal to him as a character. Like he basically regressed, like, because he grew as a character in the first film, and then he just becomes a fucking pathetic baby in the second movie. It's awful. God, I hated Ralph Breaks the Internet. God. What were we talking about? I don't even remember. I guess we were talking about Ralph. I think someone brought it up. I had to download. It's let's say Fistful of Fingers to even watch it. I still need it to finish. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I must have missed something. Did you watch Scoob? I did watch Scoob. I watched Scoob with a group of friends. I actually liked it. I know a lot of people hated it, and I definitely understand why a lot of people didn't like it. My brother didn't like it, and he's a big Scooby-Doo fan. And I hear all the criticisms. I kind of agree with some of them. I know a common complaint is a lot of people felt that the focus was kind of off, which is true. It's because the film is trying to be an entry for a universe, a cinematic universe, and it didn't accomplish that amazingly, but I feel it was far from the worst attempt, because I've seen the Mummy, the Dark Universe, is arguably a far worse example of trying to develop a universe before you've even seen the success of your first entry. Because people seem to forget, with the first Iron Man, the only crumb of developing a universe was a post-credit scene. And it wasn't until, basically, all the studios think that what you need to do to set up a movie universe is make your first film Iron Man 2. Which you shouldn't, because Iron Man 2 is not very good. And the reason why Iron Man 2 is not very good is because it's this black sheep film that's focused on continuing to build the universe. So Iron Man's kind of put to the wayside while they focus on the other characters that are meant to inhabit the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You need to start with Iron Man. You just have to tell a good film and leave a breadcrumb, maybe here or there, to imply, well, we're going to do a universe. And Scoob kind of went at it in a sort of halfway, where, they have, obviously, the focus of Scooby-Doo. Like, in my opinion, as someone who liked the film, I believe that if Scoob focused on the Scooby Gang and Dick Dastardly, I think people might have been a little more respectful of it, because it's two separate Hanna-Barbera shows. It's Scooby-Doo and Wacky Races. It leaves a crumb to be like, hey, we can have other Hanna-Barbera characters. And maybe if they... Cause I know there was like a Johnny Quest Easter egg near the end of the film. Like, I think the computer had the Johnny Quest logo on it or something. But in my opinion, if they took care of the Dick Dastardly subplot, I think the Blue Falcon thing could have been handled later, once they were building it, in my opinion. But if they stuck with the Scooby Gang taking down Dick Dastardly, and then ended it with a tease of them teaming up with Johnny Quest, not having them, outright in it, but I don't know, maybe Velma getting a call from Dr. Benton Quest, or even Johnny himself. I don't know how they would go, which one they would choose. But if they did that, where they were like, hey, maybe for the next film we'll have Scooby and Johnny, because I don't care who you are, that would be fucking cool. I would love to see Scooby and Johnny Quest together. That would be awesome. In retrospect, the Blue Falcon stuff, I feel, with the approach, with Blue Falcon and Captain Caveman, it kind of overbears the film. And again, I keep emphasizing, I liked the movie. I liked what I saw. As a fan of Hanna-Barbera, I liked all these nods. I liked all these characters. But for the approach that I feel Warner Bros. Was going for, and to make a film that pretty much anyone could enjoy, because I think that's the problem with Scoob, is that really only Hanna-Barbera fans can like it. Because I know from my brother, because he's a Scooby-Doo fan, not a Hanna-Barbera fan, but he's a Scooby-Doo fan, and his biggest complaint was there were all these characters that, why are they here? And I said, well, it's to set up a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe. He's like, well, yeah, but then it's not a Scooby-Doo movie. It's like, you know what? That is a fair point. That is a fair point. I don't agree, but that is a fair point that there are just going to be a lot of people that don't want, they don't want peanut butter in their chocolate. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that complaint, I understand it. I don't agree, because I was able to enjoy it either way. But if I saw the film as it was being developed, I probably would have made that suggestion of, maybe you should hold off on a couple of these Hanna-Barbera characters and savor them. Like, just save them for later entries, because we know it's Scooby-Doo, and we're banking on, well, it's Scooby-Doo. It's going to be, a big hit, because it's a big franchise with a very dedicated audience. But, no one could predict the Corona thing. So that definitely hurt its box office. I don't know how it's sold through digital. I hope it did well. But yeah, that would be my only critique of, I would hold off on some of these Hanna-Barbera characters and focus on a couple, and then do more as the series would go on. But I guess we'll have to wait and see where that goes, because we don't even know if Blue Falcon is going to be in other films. I don't know if that's heavily implied that he's going to be a stay. I think maybe he'd just be a reoccurring character, if that's even a thing you could do in a movie series. Honestly, I think Blue Falcon was put in because they really wanted that superhero aspect, like in the Marvel films. But I feel that needed to be introduced later on. Like, honestly, it would have been cool if, like, they could do a subtle jab at, the industry trying to mimic Marvel by having Blue Falcon be part of a Avengers-esque group. It could be like him and Space Ghost and Birdman. And hell, there could even be a joke about the fact that Birdman and Blue Falcon are basically the same fucking character. So, like, there could have been interesting things, but they needed to do them later. But that's me. Those are my opinions on Scoop. I overall enjoyed the film. It has its flaws that I will acknowledge, but I enjoyed it overall. And I think I'm missing a lot of comments, because I'm noticing Key is just typing paragraph after paragraph, and we watched Scoop together, and I know she loves it, so I don't know what she's saying. I have there for the focus, most of the most popular Scooby-Doo properties is usually a subversion of the Scooby formula. That is true. That is very, very true. My favorite Scoob was, besides Scooby-Dooby-Doo and the gang, was seeing Dick Dastardly and Muttley was awesome, and the small Hanna-Barbera reference. Well, yeah, like I said, I do like those references. Iron Man 2 isn't very good because the studio recut it without Favreau's direction. I heard that too. I heard that. I think it's why he stopped directing the films, and now he just appears as Happy Harry. I had to remember that character's name for a minute, but yeah, I know he still appears as that character, but he doesn't direct any of the films anymore. Shaggy is baby. Yeah, I know. Mesic Mountain's mention made me... Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do like the Mesic Mountain. Nah, that one was nice. Like, I would still keep that. Because, again, it doesn't... I don't think it detracts. But, again, it's still that... I think the... I say overabundance, but, they just needed to reduce the amount of Hanna-Barbera characters just so that modern audiences could, get into them later. Because, like, imagine if Iron Man had Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Thor. It would be very hard to get the audiences into these characters if they're all in this one film that's called Iron Man. That, to me, was the problem. It's like, okay, it's a movie called Scoob. I know what Scooby-Doo is, but not everyone knows what Blue Falcon is, or even Captain Caveman. Dick Dastardly, maybe, because I know Wacky Races was a very popular show. But Blue Falcon and Captain Caveman were not, as far as I recall, they're not very popular. as characters or as a series. I don't think they were very popular. Uh, if Blue Falcon was taken out, I think people would have not minded, or if they switched him out with Penelope Pitstop, maybe that could have worked, especially if you wanted to shoehorn in like how the Scooby Gang would know about Dick Dastardly, just to have like a character, yeah, like basically have Penelope Pitstop come at them with the case. That could have worked. Yeah, I like that idea. Have you seen both Spider-Man MCU? I've seen all the Spider-Man movies. I think the MCU movies are great. My favorite Spider-Man movie right now is Spider-Verse. I guess that I don't know if that's cliche, but I really loved Spider-Verse. I also really liked Venom. I know that's technically not a Spider-Man movie, but it's a character from the Spider-Man franchise. So, but I really liked Venom. I don't think Scooby and Johnny have ever interacted, which is strange. Yeah, they've never interacted, have they? I feel like Captain Caveman could have been incorporated if they teamed up with Johnny, since Johnny is known for traveling to exotic places. See, your understanding, which is why, really, you and I, Chrissy, should have developed Scoob, because we obviously have a better understanding and a grasp of both general audiences and the Hanna-Barbera library. So we would have been able to develop this film and have it appeal to modern audiences and arguably fans. Because when there's an Easter egg, I love the Easter egg. Like, there's like a Hong Kong Phooey Easter egg in like the arcade. I might have also kept the original cast, maybe, because Will Forte's fine as Shaggy. I didn't love him as Shaggy, but again, he would have to grow on me. He would have to be doing the roles for more than just the one film for me to have an overall opinion of his performance. But I thought it was just fine. I really loved Zac Efron as Fred, but that's also because I just really love Zac Efron, so it's kind of biased. Are you a Beavis and Butthead fan? Yeah, I love Beavis and Butthead. I'm very excited about that reboot, or this second reboot, because they brought it back for MTV once. I really liked that, but I'm very curious to see what they do now. Do you know about Big Nate getting a movie from Sony? I don't even know what Big Nate is. You'll have to elaborate on that, but I don't know if we're going to have time. I think he'd probably be their benefactor, like who is funding them and not Simon. Maybe, yeah. There's an idea. Last question. Have you played Epic Mickey? No, but I would love to. I watched a video. I've been watching a lot of Matt McMuscles recently because I've been seeing his videos get recommended to me a lot. I really like his What Happened series, and I watched one on Epic Mickey. That was an interesting video and made me really want to check out the game, because I knew of it and I knew it had like a following, but I never had it as a kid or as a teenager, I guess, because that's when the Wii came out. But yeah, I would love to play that game. Happy Hogan. Oh yeah, it's Happy Hogan, not Happy Harry. Yeah, thank you, Happy Hogan. My favorite thing about Scoob was the reference to the people who worked on Scoob in the past, such as Takamoto Bowl and Messick Mountain. Yeah, I thought those were nice. Only reason I know Blue Falcon is because of Dexter's Life. Like, see, that's the thing. You only know Blue Falcon as a joke character. Spider-Verse is excellent. Well, of course. You're talking about Johnny Bravo. I hope Nick Cage's Ghost Rider is canon to the MCU. I don't think it is anymore. Because I think isn't there like a Ghost Rider in like the... Was it Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I know one of like the Marvel shows had Ghost Rider. Might have been Punisher. One of those shows had Ghost Rider show up, and it's... I think I remember looking into that, and it's not Nicolas Cage. Although I think it's also... I don't think it's Johnny Blaze either. I think it's a different Ghost Rider, because I'm not too familiar with the comics, so I don't know how many people have donned the Ghost Rider name. Kind of like, you know, there's Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Jon Stewart. Like, I know there's many different people who've taken on the Green Lantern mantle. So I think the one in the MCU is not Johnny Blaze. So I don't know. Maybe if that's the case, maybe the door's open for Nicolas Cage to come back as Johnny Blaze. I would love that, because I loved him as Johnny, and I think he would. I think he could still pull it off. But I would also like to see Hugh Jackman come back as Wolverine for the MCU films. I don't know if he's going to. I mean, Logan was a hell of a send off, but anything could happen. Uh, Dude, that'd be my dream to work on the Scooby universe. Hey, maybe if it failed, they might reboot it, and we'd be far enough into our own careers that we could give them a pitch. I will one day get Scooby Doo and Oscar Buck. You're gonna make the Scooby Doo equivalent of the Spider Verse, where it wins Best Animated Feature. I love Hong Kong Phooey. I also like Hong Kong Phooey is actually my favorite. I have a dream to reboot Hong Kong Phooey. I have great ideas to reboot Hong Kong Phooey, which I won't get into because we just don't have the time. Matthew Lillard was disappointed that they didn't approach him. Yeah, I heard about that. That Matthew Lillard was a little upset about. In principle, it sucks when you're an actor and someone else gets the same role. I do hate it when actors feel like they're entitled to always play that character, which, for the record, you're not. You're an actor. The people who create those characters own those characters. And I know many will argue, well, the voice actor is just a big part of the character as the creator. I agree, but they don't have a say. They don't have the entitlement to make decisions for that character. They are simply an actor portraying a character. If you've been playing that character for a long time, you probably know a thing or two, but I don't think there should be a total totalitarian and you shouldn't have complete control over playing that character all the time. But I do think it's shitty when a studio doesn't even bother to give you a call and say that we're going in a different direction, because that would just be a common fucking courtesy. So what happened to Matthew Lillard and company was shitty, because they at least deserved a call that they weren't going to be casting them because they were going for a different approach, which happens. It happens in the industry, and most actors, Matthew would definitely understand, because he was a Hollywood actor before he was a voice actor, so he definitely understands different directions and stuff like that. But they typically call you, so that sucked. What are your personal favorite TV animators? I can't answer that. But as far as animators, one of my favorite animators of all time is Milt Kahl. But I also love Glenn Keane. I mean, a lot of the Disney animators. Really, just I love Duncan Marjorie Banks. But yeah, I guess I can only think of Disney animators. We're going to be wrapping this up, so I'm going to be reading what's left of what you say. So we're going to be answering these, and we're going to call it a show. I hope you enjoyed it, but let's wrap this up. If another person could play Fred of all characters, anyone is up for grabs. How the studio handled it was shitty, though. Yeah, I agree. To me, that's never a good thing. I mean, a similar thing, bringing it back, a similar thing happened with Lupin the Third, with a OVA they made called The Fuma Conspiracy, where the company spent so much money on the animation because they wanted it to be like the same level of animation as one of the films, that they couldn't afford the original voice actors' salaries. So instead of calling and asking if they'd be willing to reprise their roles for less money, they just hired cheaper actors instead. And that caused a whole situation where not only did every fan write into the company saying, why'd you change the voices? So that backfired. But there was also a strained relationship with the original voice of Lupin between this and the original creator of the manga, Kazuhiko Kato, otherwise known as Monkey Punch. So there is that. So really, as a studio, just fucking call. Just ask. Don't think business numbers. Just ask. Some actors are willing to just say, yeah, I like the character. I'll take a pay cut. I know this because I listened to a lot of interviews with voice actors where they've said the exact thing. It's like, for some characters, they don't care how much they're getting paid because they enjoy playing that character. Chris, read us "Go the fuck to sleep before you go." We need a bedtime story. Next time, I'll put a pin in that. Getting excited to see Hamilton. Good, because we're gonna watch it very, very soon. The Nick Cage Ghost Rider movies are super underrated. I mean, I enjoy them. They're cheesy as hell, but I think they're fun. I even like Spirit of Vengeance, which I think a lot of people hate that one, but I actually really like it. Have you ever watched the Looney Tunes show? Yeah, I really love the Looney Tunes show. I honestly thought that was one of the best Looney Tunes related things in a long time. However, the Looney Tunes cartoons, the ones on HBO Max, are also they are fantastic. Everyone should be watching those. If you don't have an HBO Max account, which really I do recommend you get one. It is a lot of money compared to most streaming services, but there's a lot of really good stuff on there. Like you've got a lot of Cartoon Network stuff. Not everything, but you got a lot of Cartoon Network stuff. You got a hell of a lot of Criterion films, a lot of classic films. There's a lot to enjoy on HBO Max. Not no one's paying me to say this. Because I pay for HBO Max. This is just merely a personal recommendation, but there is a lot of stuff on there that can be justified. But I think with that, let me just take another swig. Excuse me. With that, we are going to end another evening with Aficionados Chris. Hopefully we'll bring these back maybe next month. No promises, but I will try to do these fairly regularly and I say like maybe every month, if not every other month. But I am going to try and do some more of these because I do, like I said, I do enjoy talking to you guys. And hopefully next time, no technical difficulties. Don't know why OBS restarted all my settings. But I will keep tabs on that next time. And hope you guys have a great weekend coming. Be sure to stay safe. I know in these kinds of times, it's very, very tough, but you can keep yourself sane. Watch some movies, watch some shows, call your parents, or hang out with your family, if you can. I don't know your living situations, but call your family, talk to your friends. Be sure to stay inside as much as you can. If you have to go out, wear a mask and be safe. Other than that, please support my content. If you want to help monetarily, you can go to patreon.com/aficionadoschris. You can donate as little as $1 per month, and that very, very much helps me get to a position where I can do this and not worry about whether or not I can be financially stable enough to keep the lights on and the food in my belly. But if you cannot support me monetarily, do not worry. It is not mandatory, and I 100% understand, especially in this time. But I do ask that you please support the channel by liking any videos that you haven't already, leaving comments if you have not, and sharing them on any social platforms that you feel will get enough of views. Maybe your Facebook, maybe your Twitter, maybe your Instagram, wherever. Just share the content, support the content, because anytime you hit one of those buttons, it helps feed the algorithm and helps send my video out there to get recommended and helps the channel grow. And with that growth, I can make more content for you guys that you all enjoy. I hope you enjoy the new content that's coming out. There'll be new videos. I have some reviews planned. I have the multiplex showroom series coming out. So a lot to look forward to this month and the next. So once again, support the content. See you maybe next month, or depending on my schedule, maybe next week with a brand new video. Have a good one, everybody.